Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. Keek, let's go back to the treehouse. Returning to the treehouse, it was already high noon. Zuzin had left the treehouse around 9 in the morning, and now it was already 1 in the afternoon. It had only taken 4 hours to find the first treasure chest, and Zuzin was quite satisfied with his speed. He brought the bronze treasure chest back with him. After all, it was a bronze tool, and perhaps, in the future, he might be able to disassemble it into materials. Sitting down on the chair, Zuzin immediately took out the silver compass and placed it on the table, then spun the needle. The needle felt heavy as he spun it. The spun needle did not gradually slow down, instead, it spun faster and faster, finally letting out a crisp ding before it slowly began to slow. Ultimately, the needle's direction stopped at the west of the treehouse. Isn't that the direction I came from? The west, precisely in the direction of the stream. Chapter 28, The Gains of Other Survivors. The direction the pointer points to is exactly the direction the stream flows from, which suggests the silver treasure chest might be along the path he walked. Could it be the Black Bear Cave? Zuzin gazed at the compass, lost in thought. When he came from the starting point, he actually carefully observed his surroundings, and besides the Black Bear Cave along the way, there didn't seem to be anything special. Of course, the location of the treasure chest cannot be thought of with common sense. After all, who could have known the location of the copper treasure chest was within the root of the vine? This position is extremely sinister. If it weren't for his ability, he might have already fallen for it, injured if not dead. This time, the location of the silver treasure chest is certainly not ordinary, so he could only be cautious at every step. Let's check out the Black Bear Cave first. I wonder if there are still bears in the Black Bear Cave now. The skin of the black bear that Zuzin killed has now become the backpack on his back. He opened the map and looked at the Black Bear Cave marked on it, and there were no red dots in the cave currently. This black bear might really be the one from the Black Bear Cave. Zuzin felt a bit delighted. If that's true, then it's perfect. Last time, he only managed to kill a heavily wounded and undefended black bear with the help of the treehouse. Facing a black bear with cold weapons directly would only turn him into bear dung. If the black bear hadn't died, he could only rely on wit. At this moment, Keek was lying on the table, using his little paws to move the compass needle. The compass had already entered the cooling phase, and couldn't be used within the next 2 hours, so under Keek's touch, the needle feebly swung, like a slipping clock. Zuzin checked the regional channel, and now the number had dropped below 8,000, leaving only 7,987 people. He remembered glancing at it when he left in the morning, and the regional channel had 8,140 people at that time. So 150 people died so quickly? Zuzin was a little shocked. These people might have been ambushed by monsters carrying treasure chests, and moreover, some might have encountered gold and silver treasure chests for the first time rather than copper chests, and the monsters guarding those might be even stronger. Now it seemed that the so-called end elimination only forced survivors out of the treehouse. The real danger was the monsters guarding the treasure chests. Zuzin became more vigilant. He didn't want to die from a monster ambush. As a cautious person, without this map capability that could predict danger in advance, he who already obtained a copper treasure chest might have stayed in the treehouse without venturing out. And now someone in the regional channel was saying the same thing. Is anyone there? Has someone returned? I'm back. I got the copper treasure chest. Damn, not far after stepping out, a snake as thick as a bowl emerged from the ground and wrapped around me, almost strangling me. Huh? You encountered a snake? How did you survive? Haha, I was lucky. The stick in my hand happened to jam its mouth and a snake was strange. It shattered by itself after a few seconds. Had it endured a few more seconds, I might have been strangled to death. Luckily there was a copper chest in the hole it emerged from. I wasn't strangled in vain. Anyway, I'm not going out again. It's too dangerous. A copper chest is enough. That was really dangerous. What about you? Did you get the copper chest? Me? I haven't even left yet. Aren't you afraid of death? I got my leg bitten off by a wild beast. Just waiting to die now. Anyway, going out means dying too. Maybe not many people will find the chest. The bottom 50 places might be randomly chosen from all the empty-handed. You have quite the mindset. Friend, stay strong. Let's wait to die together. A few words popped up from others in the regional channel sporadically. Doesn't having a bad mindset mean you don't have to die? Die happily. By the way, old brother, what's in your copper treasure chest, can you tell me? Not much, a bag of fertilizer, 2 packs of seeds. Zuzin silently watched their conversation. It seemed though some people did not die in the beast wave, they suffered serious injuries, basically unable to move, otherwise, they wouldn't stay in place leaving fate to chance. This also served as a wake-up call to Zuzin. Suffering serious injuries means elimination in the next activity. And judging by the words of the guy who got the box, it seems the dangers everyone encounters are different, but the contents of the copper treasure boxes are seemingly the same. He wondered if his seeds were the same as the others. Originally, Zuzin wanted to get some information from the channel, but since the treasure box locations and dangers each survivor encountered differed greatly, there wasn't much reference value. To ensure he didn't miss anything in the afternoon due to sleepiness, Zuzin ate an orange and kept a few of those he picked in the morning in his backpack, leaving the rest in the treehouse, and tossed one to Keek. The little guy enjoyed eating it heartily. Don't drip orange juice on my shoulder. Squeak. Following the stream, Zuzin headed upstream. It was a path he had walked many times, first before the treehouse planting, then for pebbles, green, in the stream, also acquiring stones, green, in the Black Bear Cave, a round trip. On these few trips, Zuzin actually hadn't noticed anything unusual about the path beside the stream. The silver treasure chest, like the copper one, was likely to suddenly appear. Moreover, along this stream might generate special situations similar to previous weeds and shrubs as hints for the treasure chest's location, so Zuzin kept an eye on subtle changes as he walked. Seeing the Black Bear Cave up close, Zuzin realized he had concentrated intensely for a long time and had already reached the cave. There were no red dots on the map, at least currently. There was no black bear in the cave. Black bears can roam day and night, so Zuzin couldn't know if the bear hadn't returned to the cave or if it had already been turned into a backpack, but being careful never hurts. Zuzin's focus remained on the map, his eyes fixed on the cave's interior, slowly, and stealthily stepping inside. The strange wind sound again rang in Zuzin's ears. Below this cave, there should be a large cavern-like space. The air flowing inside produces this sound. Perhaps, exploring here could reveal a glimpse of the underground world. The idea was appealing, but after thoroughly exploring the cave, Zuzin didn't find even a small opening to another space. The strange wind sound could be heard everywhere in the cave, but due to the echo inside, Zuzin couldn't pinpoint its source. Perhaps there really isn't a rock cave visible to the eye. Should he use a tool to break open a cave entrance? But is there really a silver treasure chest buried here? This wind sound had been present since his first day, but based on the inference from the copper treasure chest location, Zuzin thought the silver chest should represent a new environmental change rather than this long-standing wind sound. Moreover, the treasure bear cub Keek on his shoulder showed no reaction, even already snoozing on his shoulder. This little guy, such a sleepyhead. Zuzin helplessly shook his head. First, take the wind sound as a supplementary thought, explore along the river, and if unable to find anything, wait for the compass to cool down to confirm the direction once more. Zuzin walked out of the Black Bear Cave and returned to the riverside, continuing upstream. Quickly, he triggered a prompt. Reminder, do not leave the treehouse for more than 3 kilometers, otherwise things you don't want to see will occur. He reached the boundary again. Chapter 29, Unexpected Gains. Even though he had reached the boundary, Zuzin was not in a hurry to return. Of course, he wouldn't foolishly walk out of the 3-kilometer boundary, but he was still curious. Why couldn't he go beyond the 3-kilometer range? Was it because the treehouse could only protect them within this 3-kilometer radius? On the map, within the 3-kilometer range around the treehouse, there were no more beasts except for the red dot at the center of the lake. Was this also thanks to the treehouse? Or was it deliberately caused by that mysterious voice? At this moment, he had a guess in his heart, but it was immature. He cast a profound look at the ground outside the boundary, the direction he had come from. He had previously walked unscathed from there, but now he could no longer return. Previously, the novice protection period was safeguarding him, and now, it was the treehouse protecting him. Stop thinking too much. Nearly 2 hours had passed by now, and Zuzin started heading back, returning to the location of the Black Bear Cave. Standing at the entrance of the Black Bear Cave, Zuzin used the compass for the second time. With a crisping sound, the needle of the compass gradually pointed in the opposite direction of the Black Bear Cave, towards the other side of the stream. It seems the treasure chest is on the other side of the stream, and Zuzin has to cross the stream to get there. The stream was easy to cross, after all, it wasn't deep. Even though this part was already downstream and the stream was quite wide, the deepest part of the entire stream was only 30 to 40 centimeters. Just as Zuzin was about to step across the stream, he suddenly stopped. What if the monster wasn't on the other side of the stream, but right in the stream itself? If he steps down like this, wouldn't it be courting death? Although 40 centimeters of water isn't technically deep, it significantly impairs normal movement, greatly slowing down Zuzin. Keek, wake up. Zuzin roughly shook Keek's head, who was resting on his shoulder. Ying ying. Keek was very displeased to be woken up so violently and protested with a whiny tone at Zuzin. Zuzin took Keek off his shoulder, held it in his arms, and let it face the stream. Feel it. Is there anything wrong in this stream? After all, last time Keek found the treasure chest by following a scent. Perhaps it's its instinct, but it was undoubtedly very useful. Ying? Keek instinctively tilted its head. It was still in a groggy state after being woken up, yet pulled out to work. It jumped down from Zuzin's arms, came to the water's edge, and scooped the water with its little paw, then turned around and shook its head at Zuzin. Ying no? Zuzin frowned. Did he overthink it? Both Keek and the map didn't give any warnings about danger. Maybe he really was wrong. Relaxing his furrowed brow, Zuzin picked Keek up back onto his shoulder, took off his shoes, and prepared to cross the stream. The stream's flow was fast and incredibly cold. Zuzin felt a piercing chill as soon as he stepped in. Before he had walked a few steps, his whole foot was almost numbed by the cold. He couldn't understand why this mountain stream was so cold. Clearly, the temperature was over 30 degrees now. After taking 2 steps, Zuzin stopped. For some reason, the further he went, the more anxious he felt. It was similar to the crisis instinct he had when the vines were about to burst out from the ground, just not as intense but rather like a feeling that something dangerous was getting closer to him. There's something in the water. There really is something in the water. Zuzin chose to trust his instincts, took big strides, and ran back. He hadn't reached the deepest part of the stream yet, so retreating back meant he could get to the bank quickly. As he turned around to run, a sudden splash of water sounded behind him, as if something emerged from the water. Ying! Keek suddenly shouted on his shoulder. The sound was nothing like its usual cute voice but instead a hoarse and sharp cry, seemingly warning whatever was behind. Zuzin slightly turned his head and caught a glimpse of what was behind with his peripheral vision. As soon as the thing appeared in his sight, Zuzin's pupils contracted instantly. He was startled and frantically dashed towards the bank. A crocodile had surfaced in the middle of the stream, a crocodile much larger than usual, whose size reminded Zuzin of prehistoric creatures from the late Cretaceous period, one of the largest crocodilian species ever, the Deinosuchus. No, even Deinosuchus wasn't this large. It was a giant Deinosuchus. The nearly 20-meter-long crocodile lay at the bottom of the stream along its flow, rising now, causing the stream's water level to drop significantly. Meanwhile, the map Zuzin had been watching intently did not even show a red dot. Damn. This map doesn't show anything, right? What a scam creator function, right? Zuzin ran in the front, his soul chased behind. He sprinted to the bank in merely 4 or 5 strides. However, to his slight surprise, the crocodile didn't seem to have intentions to attack him, otherwise, Zuzin wouldn't have almost escaped. Crocodiles are extremely fast in water. It could bite him and then do a death roll, reducing him to a pile of minced meat. The crocodile merely watched him, just like the lake giant python, simply watching him quietly. Just like the lake giant python, it had a monstrous body that seemed not to belong to this era. The only difference was that the lake giant python appeared as a huge, bright red dot on the map, whereas this crocodile suspected of being a Deinosuchus did not. The last one not showing was the little red panda, Keek, on his shoulder. He looked at Keek on his shoulder, who was now baring its teeth at the Deinosuchus, seemingly trying to intimidate it. Yet, it was of no use, it was just too adorably cute. The Deinosuchus in the stream slowly opened its large mouth, and just as Zuzin's face turned grim, ready to run for his life, he suddenly noticed a flash of bright silver inside its mouth. A silver treasure chest? In this crocodile's mouth? Can't we play properly anymore? Ying? The Deinosuchus jerked its head, flinging the silver chest to the bank, landing with a loud bang. The chest lay at Zuzin's feet, while the colossal Deinosuchus closed its mouth, casting a small eye considering its size at Zuzin before slowly sinking back into the water under his wary yet puzzled gaze. The clear water turned turbid as the sand and stones at the riverbed were churned up by the Deinosuchus, yet Zuzin could still see it hadn't left, instead once again lying at the bottom of the stream. It had been in the stream all along. Perhaps when Zuzin first passed through here, a Deinosuchus was already resting here. Since this Deinosuchus is like Keek, a special existence, if Keek wasn't beholden to this world's constraints, perhaps this crocodile wasn't either. The more he thought about it, the more Zuzin felt a chill. Although this massive Deinosuchus seemed not to harbor malice towards him, it was a crocodile nonetheless. Its demonic appearance and sharp teeth were daunting to say the least. Thankfully, for now, It seemed this crocodile bore him no ill will. Looking at the silver treasure chest at his feet, Zuzin felt as though he were dreaming, inexplicably obtaining a silver treasure chest. The position of this treasure chest is too eerie. Chapter 30, Treehouse Renovation Contract. Although the terror crocodile in the stream didn't do anything to him, he still respectfully put the silver chest into his backpack and moved away from the riverbank. That terror crocodile, like Keek, doesn't show up on the map and also doesn't attack me. Could it be that it's not displayed because it's not a hostile unit? Zuzin patted Keek's furry head. Keek made a yip sound and rubbed against his palm. Perhaps the red dots on the map only show units that are hostile to me and will actively attack, while creatures like the terror crocodile and Keek are automatically considered friendly or neutral and not displayed, similar to the birds and insects in the jungle. Understanding this, Zuzin's impression of the big guy in the stream changed. This big creature allowed him to easily acquire a silver chest, although the fright was indeed significant. It wasn't until he was 300 or 400 meters away from the riverbank that Zuzin took the silver chest out of his backpack. The silver chest in front of him was a bit larger than the previous copper chest, with a bright silver color. Apart from the color, there wasn't much difference in appearance, except for an extra keyhole in the middle. Zuzin took out a silver key, aligned it with the keyhole, and gently twisted it. A mechanical sensation emanated from his hand holding the key, and a crisp click sounded from the chest, indicating the lock was opened. Zuzin cautiously moved around to the back of the chest before opening the lid. Fortunately, what he feared didn't happen. Why are there so few items? Inside the silver chest, there was only a thin sheet of paper, a golden compass, and a golden key. Zuzin picked up the paper. Treehouse Modification Contract, Blue. After using this contract, you unlock treehouse modification options, allowing for interior renovation and the addition of weapons and defense components on the exterior. Whoa. Zuzin's eyes lit up. He could add weapons and defense components to the treehouse. This is about turning the treehouse into a fortress. If he could fully arm the treehouse, maybe one day he could even kill the terrifying giant anaconda in a lake. Moreover, he could finally renovate the interior. Sleeping every night in a 100 square meter empty room with no functions was a bit uncomfortable. No matter how big the treehouse was, he still had to go down for bathing and physiological needs, which was quite inconvenient. With this contract, he could renovate the bedroom and bathroom, truly turning the treehouse into a home. Without hesitation, Zuzin directly used the contract. The contract disintegrated in his hand, merging into his palm. At that moment, he noticeably felt an uplift in his spirit, with a warm flow coursing through his body. Zuzin even felt a slight increase in strength. Can this contract also enhance my own strength? Zuzin clenched his fist, picking up the silver chest on the ground. Indeed, the silver chest felt much lighter than before. After enhancing his strength once again after the bear's paw, in this perilous world, personal strength is the most important thing. After all, that mysterious voice wouldn't allow their group of survivors to stay in the treehouse forever. Picking up the golden compass and golden key from the chest, Zuzin retrieved Keek, who had jumped into the chest out of curiosity and was scratching the inside walls, and put the empty silver chest back into his backpack. After all, as long as the technology in this world advanced enough, silver and the copper he had obtained before were essential materials for some devices and could be very useful in the future. The silver chest was heavy, even after putting it into the backpack. The remaining 20% of its weight slightly affected Zuzin's movements. It should be close to the 7 o'clock in the evening he arranged with Li Wenxi. Hopefully, nothing happened to the little beauty. The compass is best used at the treehouse location. Let's head back first, come on, Keek. Yep. Keek jumped onto Zuzin's shoulder. Returning to the stream, the terror crocodile had already completely hidden in the water. With a fast-flowing stream, the water had long since returned to its original clarity, and the bottom of the stream was now back to normal. Zuzin looked into the water. The bottom was sporadically covered with some pebbles, and the skin of the terror crocodile was slightly exposed. Of course, if Zuzin hadn't seen the terror crocodile emerge from the water, he would never have thought that the rugged black bottom of the stream was a gigantic terror crocodile that was nearly 20 meters long. Brother crocodile, thank you. Next time I pass by, I'll bring you some tasty treats. Zuzin clasped his fists towards the bottom of the stream. The flowing water created a slight whirlpool, as if answering his words. Oh my, it actually responded. Zuzin's curiosity about the giant crocodile immediately outweighed his fear. He even found the big crocodile a bit cute. But now wasn't the time to waste. After clasping his fists again towards the stream, Zuzin turned and left. Keek on his shoulder waved a pot-a-bid farewell, yipping towards the path they had taken. This little guy was just baring its teeth earlier. Man and Panda resumed their journey back to the treehouse. Back at the treehouse, the first thing Zuzin did was check his newly unlocked feature. On the screen, another option appeared, Treehouse modification. Clicking in, the construction list was so extensive that Susan couldn't browse through it all. Wooden partitions, wooden doors, wooden cabinets, wooden windows. All kinds of treehouse interior components were listed. Blueprint, wooden partition, green quality, description, interior partition for the treehouse providing sound insulation, required materials, 5 units of log, green quality, blueprint, wooden door, green quality, description, interior door for the treehouse providing sound insulation, required materials, 2 units of log, green quality, blueprint, small stone stove, green quality, description, simple stove for cooking food, temperature control is difficult, required materials, 10 units of stone, green quality, and many other common interior facilities. These newly appearing treehouse interiors require the new materials Susan obtained from the copper chest. And indeed, there was a stove for cooking food. Once this activity is over, Susan can plan a new layout for the treehouse interior. He then looked at the weapons and defense components for the exterior. For now, there was only one type of weapon in the list. Blueprint, automatic crossbow, green quality, description, automatic crossbow for treehouse exterior, auto attacks hostile units, required materials, 10 units of fine wood, green quality, 2 units of beast tendon, green quality, blueprint, heavy crossbow arrow, green quality, description, heavy, sharp arrow capable of piercing beasts, limited range, reusable, required materials, 2 units of fine wood, green quality, 1 unit of stone, green quality, blueprint, treehouse wooden armor, green quality, description, armor installed on treehouse trunk to reduce damage from beast attacks, required materials, 2 units of log, green quality. The weapons for the treehouse exterior also needed new materials, gained from chopping birches for fine wood and pines for logs. Looks like I need to quickly plant these 2 types of seeds. With weapons capable of automatic attack and stronger defense, next time a beast tide comes, the treehouse will offer a better chance of survival. It might even allow Susan to kill beasts for materials from within the treehouse without risking his life, unlike the last time with the black bear. However, even this automatic crossbow requires beast tendons. Chapter 31-31, the pattern on the treasure chest. While Susan was checking out the items that could be crafted under the treehouse renovation section, Lee Wenxie sent him a message. Susan, are you back? It seemed like she hadn't encountered any trouble. Susan had many things he wanted to ask her, so he initiated a video call right away. The video was answered instantly, and seeing Lee Wenxie in the video made Susan's eyelid twitch. In the video, Lee Wenxie looked extremely disheveled, with scratches visible on her arms and thighs. Even the newbie 2-piece set was a bit torn, revealing some skin. However, she didn't seem to notice this. Her expression was very excited, and as soon as the video connected, she exclaimed, "Susan, I found the copper treasure chest." "Oh, hi, hello there, little panda." Eep. Keek, perched on Susan's shoulder, greeted Lee Wenxie in the video as well. "How did you get all those injuries? Were you attacked by creatures near the treasure chest?" Yeah, how did you know?" "Oh, you must have found the treasure chest too, right?" Lee Wenxie realized, and nodded in agreement. "I knew you'd find it too. Did you see the regional chat? There aren't many who found the treasure chest. We're pretty amazing." Susan glanced at the regional chat, and the remaining number of people was down to 7,568, with hundreds more losing their lives during the day. Probably many people encountered the treasure chest, but they were taken down by the creatures nearby. Susan didn't finish, but Lee Wenxie understood and nodded in agreement. "Indeed. By the way, what kind of creatures did you have over there?" "My treasure chest was actually inside the roots of a vine." "She's just like me? Mine was in the roots of a vine too. That vine suddenly burst out of the ground, attacked me twice, and died." "Eh? That's exactly what happened to me. The vine suddenly came out from under my feet. If I hadn't been alert, I would have died immediately." I checked the regional chat, and others who obtained the treasure chest did not encounter vines? I thought everyone faced different dangers. Susan was browsing the regional chat, and a few others who found copper treasure chests were very active, including the person he saw upon returning at noon, who was attacked shortly after leaving the treehouse. Some were ambushed and entangled by snakes as thick as a bowl, some were chased and gnawed by rats the size of small cats, some had insects as large as southern cockroaches burrow into their bodies, some were entangled by suddenly growing brambles, but without exception, these creatures all burst out of the ground. Was it just a coincidence for him and Lee Wenxie? I'm not sure, maybe it's just a coincidence. Susan couldn't figure out the logic behind it, shook his head, and asked, "How did you find the copper treasure chest?" "I don't know either, I just walked by feeling for a day and just when I was about to give up, the vine ambushed me." Lee Wenxie explained honestly. "Goodness, A true luck king, huh? Discovering a treasure chest in an area spanning 3 kilometers solely by chance. Did you also get fertilizer and 2 bags of seeds from your treasure chest? Yes, Li Wenxi nodded. The seeds, as they mentioned in the chat, are birch and pine tree seeds. Everyone seems to have the same, it's just unclear what these logs and timbers are for. I checked the crafting list and there isn't anything that requires logs and timbers. Zhu Xin opened his mouth but decided not to tell Li Wenxi about the silver treasure chest he obtained, especially after the episode with the giant terrapin in the river, which he himself didn't know how to explain. He simply said, perhaps it has something to do with the items in future treasure chests. Ah well, who cares? I'm taking it easy. Not going out at night, daytime is dangerous enough, and going out at night is just too unsafe. Ouch ouch ouch. Li Wenxi's injured arm bumped against the table, and she quickly withdrew her hand and lightly rubbed it. Zhu Xin traded over some herb he found before that could be applied externally, saying, use this, it's an herb. There should be plenty around your house, but they look almost like regular grass, so they're not easy to recognize. Really? Li Wenxi looked at the herb in her hand, and it looked exactly like the weeds downstairs, but what she saw in the description was, coagulant herb, a special type of grass. Without Zhu Xin's item identification ability, Li Wenxi's item descriptions were simpler, just a single sentence. You can even discover this. Typical items need to be held or touched to see the description. It sounds simple, but who would be bored enough to fiddle around with weeds? Plus, you'd have to pick the coagulant herb precisely to discover it. So far, this herb with healing properties hasn't appeared on the trading platform. Discovered it by chance. Zhu Xin naturally wouldn't reveal his ability. Alright, if you're not going out then get some rest. I won't stay in the treehouse tonight. Oh okay, hey, you gave me so many things, I should return them to you. Li Wenxi seemed a bit embarrassed by her own laid-back approach. No need, keep them. Just don't forget me if you find something good later. After hanging up the video call, Zhu Xin took out the golden compass. Only the final golden treasure chest was left. Who knows what kind of resources would be in it? The copper treasure chest was in the root of the killer vine, the silver treasure chest in the mouth of the giant terrapin, so where would the golden treasure chest be? Golden treasure chest compass, spin the pointer to determine the general direction of the golden treasure chest. With a usage interval of 5 hours, the interval time for using this compass was much longer than for the silver treasure chest compass, undoubtedly making it harder to find the golden treasure chest. He spun the compass, and the pointer finally stopped at the northwest direction. So it's over there. The area full of red dots in the hilly region was in the northwest direction. Fortunately, that area was beyond 3 kilometers, so the golden treasure chest was certainly not within that dangerous range. Zhu Xin didn't rush out but instead roasted a few pounds of bear meat, paired it with mushrooms he had collected earlier, and enjoyed a hearty dinner. Searching for the golden treasure chest might likely end in a fierce battle, so how could he not eat well and fill up? Placing the silver treasure chest from his backpack beside the copper treasure chest, Zhu Xin was about to rise and leave when his gaze froze, and he began to scrutinize the 2 treasure chests side by side. Zhu Xin initially thought the styles of the 2 treasure chests should be exactly the same, but upon placing them together, he noticed differences. Previously, it was hard to see anything when looking at them separately, but now, with the 2 treasure chests side by side, the patterns on the silver and copper chests seemed to form a single design, an incomplete design. It was an outline of an animal seen from the side, with the pattern on the left copper chest being part of the animal's tail and hind legs, the right silver chest holding the middle body and front legs, while the head was missing. Considering this, the head's pattern should be on the body of the golden treasure chest. Judging by the body alone, the pattern somewhat resembled that of the mythical beast Kylan, a body like a musk deer, a tail like a dragon, and scales covering its body. Zhu Xin had already encountered 2 beasts in this world that defied logic, the giant anaconda in the lake and the massive terrapin in the stream bottom, each surpassing his imagination, so encountering a Kylan here wouldn't surprise him much. Who knows what the pattern on the treasure chest represents? Ah well, no need to think too much about it. Once I find the golden treasure chest, whatever the pattern signifies will naturally become clear. Chapter 32-32, Possessed? Looking at the time, it was already 8 in the evening. And today just so happened to be a moonless night, the starry sky exceptionally clear and bright, with a magnificent galaxy hanging across it. A sight Zhu Xin, who had grown up in the city, had never seen before. I remember the moonlight was very bright last night, wasn't it a full moon? It's new moon today already, this world is really strange. Zhu Xin sighed, but didn't pay much attention to it. After all, it's another world, not to be measured by Earth's standards. He geared up once more, heading towards the northwest direction of the treehouse. The lake was just to the northwest of the treehouse, and Zhu Xin wanted to go over there, but first he had to circle around the lake. Of course, he had also considered that the treasure chest might be in this lake. But if it was really in the lake, he currently had no means to retrieve it. This lake is very dangerous. Although the lake giant python is gone, the lake is still the only place with a red dot within 3 kilometers of his treehouse. The red dots concentrated in the lake center aren't very bright, much dimmer than those wolves killed by the black bear earlier, but there are many, densely packed moving around, probably piranhas or something similar. Given his current abilities, trying to snatch a treasure chest from piranhas in the water is as good as meeting the black and white impermanence. Zhu Xin swung his arm, throwing a stone towards the lake center. Eep. Keek on his shoulder, affected by Zhu Xin's action, almost got thrown off and clung onto his clothes with all limbs to climb back onto his shoulder. The stone hit the lake center, causing a massive splash, and the lake water began boiling instantly. Because the water was clear, with a deep lake center that wouldn't stir up silt, Zhu Xin could vaguely see scores of fish wildly swimming below the surface, with a few even leaping out of the water. They were entirely blood-red fish, seemingly only slightly larger than his palm, but their sharp teeth looked like saws, making Zhu Xin shudder. Sure enough, they were piranhas. These piranhas seemed to only roam around the lake center and wouldn't come to the edge, so the fish and shrimp in the shallow waters were not affected. At that moment, due to Zhu Xin's stone, a large startled grass carp mistakenly entered the lake center area. In an instant, the lake water erupted once more, the splashing water far surpassing that caused by the stone thrown by Zhu Xin. The grass carp's original spot seeped a faint blood color that soon got diluted into obscurity by the lake water. Oh dear, better not provoke it, better look for other places first. Walking along the lake edge, it didn't take long for Zhu Xin to reach the other side of the lake. Zhu Xin wasn't very familiar with this northwest direction. He only casually glanced at it during initial explorations and, finding no blue resources, hadn't been back. Therefore, the map of this area was blank. Zhu Xin continued straight toward the direction indicated by the compass from earlier. With a map, he wasn't at risk of winding in circles in the jungle like others might, so the compass in his hand could naturally be most effective. The resource area extended eastward from the lake, so heading northwest he soon stepped out of the resource area, once again entering a sea of white light around him. However, Zhu Xin didn't find it strange. The bronze and silver treasure chest locations weren't inside the resource area either, they were both relatively far from the treehouse, with no high-level resources around. By this logic, the gold treasure chest might not be inside the resource area too. Zhu Xin continued forward without a clue, occasionally patting Keek on his shoulder, but Keek didn't lead the way as it did when finding the bronze treasure chest, staying lethargically on Zhu Xin's shoulder. Well, after following Zhu Xin around all day, it was now evening, time for the little guy to want to sleep. Keek, don't the red berries and oranges I've given you have any special effect? Zhu Xin had given Keek several oranges today. If they had some effect, it shouldn't be sleepy, right? Eep. Keek tilted its head at him, confusion twinkling in its sleepy eyes. It seems the special effects of blue resources are of no use to them. Zhu Xin shook his head, holding Keek in his arms, stroked its fluffy tail, and said, "Have a nap, I'll wake you if anything happens, you must stay sharp then." Eep. Keek replied, snuggling into Zhu Xin's arms and nodding off. The nighttime jungle was quiet, not even the sound of insects could be heard, only the rustle of leaves and the sound of his footsteps on the grass. Without Keek moving around on his shoulder and brushing his neck with its tail, Zhu Xin felt a bit unaccustomed. Even though there were no red dots representing hostile units on the map, Zhu Xin remained on high alert, constantly sensing the surroundings and monitoring map changes. It was still the same monotonous jungle, the poplar forest. Zhu Xin had walked this long without sensing even the faintest sign of anything amiss. Warning, do not leave the small treehouse area for more than 3 kilometers, or unwanted things will happen. Another step to the boundary. Standing at the boundary, Zhu Xin frowned. This time he truly felt at a loss. Following the compass all the way here, he hadn't sensed even the slightest anomaly. Could the gold treasure chest really be in the lake? This is troublesome. Zhu Xin raised his head, looking at the hill looming just a stone's throw away. A large formation of dense red dots lay beyond the hill less than a kilometer away. He couldn't go out, but neither did the beasts seem eager to enter his territory. For now, it's still safe. Looking at the hill before him, a sudden thought appeared in Zhu Xin's mind. What will happen if I step out of this boundary? What terrifying things could occur? This thought took root in Zhu Xin's heart, and a desire to go out inflated it, growing stronger. Zhu Xin fixated his gaze on the hill with a sovereignty, seemingly unable to resist taking a step forward. This time, the mysterious voice didn't warn him again. Driven by desire, Zhu Xin took another step forward, now with half a foot outside the boundary. Just as he wanted to move again, Keek in his arms stirred. Eep. Seemingly uncomfortable, Keek shifted in Zhu Xin's arms. With just that, Zhu Xin snapped back to reality, but his third step had already gone out. A fierce sense of crisis erupted in his heart, and Zhu Xin quickly retracted the foot he had stepped out. At the instant he pulled back, a sharp vine burst through the location where his third step was about to land, stabbing 4 or 5 meters skyward. The deep green vine bore a few blood-red strands resembling blood vessels, sending chills down his spine. Zhu Xin hurriedly retreated a few steps, all muscles tensed, prepared to dodge, but unlike the vine at the bronze chest, this one didn't lunge at him. Instead, it lingered in the air momentarily before slowly sinking back underground. On the map, the red dot representing the vine faded away, disappearing entirely within seconds. Just now, why did I do something so reckless? Zhu Xin thought back to his actions in disbelief. As a cautious person, he would never do something so suicidal, yet he did. If not for Keek stirring, he could have at least had his foot pierced by the vine from the ground. Thinking back now, the Zhu Xin just driven by desire alone, walking out without regard for consequences, seemed unlike himself. Was I possessed or something? Chapter 33-33, Strange floral fragrance. Zhu Xin now felt very dangerous. He indeed had the thought of wanting to go out and give it a try, but it was just a thought. His prudence made it impossible for him to put this idea into practice. But the truth was that he seemed to have lost his mind, conquered by the desire inside him, and stepped out easily. There must be something around here affecting me. Zhu Xin looked around warily, still seeing the usual poplar woods and low shrubs. It was then that he realized the effect of the invigorating energy from the blue orange he ate in the treehouse had worn off. Zhu Xin took a blue orange out of his backpack and ate it. His mind was revitalized once again, the fatigue vanished, and his mind became much clearer. The surroundings were very quiet. The jungle at night always gave a gloomy, cold, and dangerous feeling. Zhu Xin fixed his gaze on that crack in the ground, from which the vines had just emerged. As long as I walk out of the 3-kilometer range, will vines emerge from the ground outside to attack me? Zhu Xin's mind cleared up, and he began to ponder, from where I stand now, it's less than a meter from the boundary. At such a short distance, can't those vines come in? Zhu Xin suddenly remembered the vines that previously guarded the copper treasure chest. They attacked him only twice and then became dry and brittle, shattering with a touch, but the vines just now didn't, and they didn't even turn to poke at him again. Instead, they gradually retracted underground. It seems that within a 3-kilometer range, he indeed was protected. To confirm his thoughts, Zhu Xin tensed his mind and body, and again extended his foot outward. This time, he didn't lose his mind, it was a deliberate action after careful consideration. Sure enough, a red dot rapidly lit up on the map, and Zhu Xin dodged his foot aside. A vine, thicker than the previous one, burst from the ground, shooting 6 or 7 meters into the air. The vine was covered with dense, blood-red thorns, causing chills to run down one's spine. At that moment, Zhu Xin's foot was still outside the boundary. The vine twisted in midair, directly swinging towards Zhu Xin's ankle. Zhu Xin quickly retracted his foot to his side and backed away. But the vine did not enter the boundary, as if there was an invisible wall on the 3-kilometer demarcation line, stopping abruptly outside. Under Zhu Xin's vigilant gaze, the vine did not attack him again. It twisted, spiraled a few times, as if giving up, and slowly retracted underground. Is that really the case? Zhu Xin squintingly pondered, as long as I exit the protective range, those bizarre underground creatures will attack me, but once I return to this range, even if they've already launched an attack, they won't pursue. Is it because they would shatter like the vine that guarded the copper chest if they come in? But how does one explain the giant crocodile? Why can the giant terror crocodile with the silver chest move within the protective range? Although he couldn't figure it out, Zhu Xin at least could be certain that there was something around affecting his mind, trying to lure him out of the 3-kilometer protective range so those underground vines could kill him. Could it be the monster guarding the golden chest? Zhu Xin patted the little creature in his arms. Keek twisted slightly in his arms, opening its eyes slowly. Ying? Keek, can you feel anything unusual around us? Keek rubbed its eyes with its paws, and then Zhu Xin felt the previously soft little fur ball in his arm suddenly become tense. Ying. Keek suddenly jumped out of his arms, standing somewhat nervously in the direction behind Zhu Xin, raising its paws into a defensive gesture. Zhu Xin drew out a stone spear and pointed it in that direction. Keek tugged on Zhu Xin's pant leg with its paw, signaling him to follow. Zhu Xin looked at him with some concern. Be careful not to get ambushed. Ying. That direction was one Zhu Xin had never been to, a dark spot on the map. After walking for a while, probably just a few hundred meters, Zhu Xin seemed to detect a special scent in the air, growing stronger as they advanced. Zhu Xin rubbed his nose, feeling stimulated, and uncertain in his heart. Is this a floral fragrance? Continuing forward, Zuzin noticed that the poplars around seemed to have become sparse, and the ground was no longer entirely grass and shrubs, but there were gradually more small yellow flowers, gently swaying in the wind. The floral scent was overwhelming, and Zuzin's consciousness began to drift unknowingly, speeding up his pace. But he quickly sensed something wrong, pinching his arm hard to regain clarity. It's this floral scent. This scent was luring me out of the protective range. Perhaps because he was previously in a position where the scent was faint, it deceived his sense of smell, but now Zuzin felt this was the same feeling that influenced his mind earlier. With this realization, Zuzin hurriedly lifted his clothes, covering his nose and mouth, but felt it interfered with movement, so he took off his clothes and tied them around his face. Keek, come back. Let's go together. Now aware of the danger, he naturally couldn't let Keek lead the way. Ying. Keek seemed unaffected by the floral scent and nimbly climbed up to Zuzin's shoulder along his leg. This little creature truly was mysterious. Zuzin gripped the stone spear and continued to walk forward. The poplars around became sparser, and the yellow flowers on the ground grew more abundant. Even though Zuzin had covered his nose and mouth, the pungent floral scent still made him furrow his brows tightly. It was unclear whether it was due to his heightened alertness or the effect of the blue orange he had eaten, but despite the pungent smell, it didn't seem to affect his mind again. What's that? Zuzin suddenly stopped. There were no more poplars around. His feet were standing in a sea of flowers, a bright yellow sea of flowers. And right in front of him, a golden treasure chest shone brightly in the center of this sea of flowers. A golden treasure chest? Zuzin's eyes lit up. He didn't expect to find a golden treasure chest here. Ying? Keek on his shoulder turned its head to glance at him. Zuzin didn't continue forward or rush to open the treasure chest. He always felt something was off. This golden chest surely couldn't be that easily obtained. Beneath this sea of flowers, a great danger must be lurking. His mental map showed no red dots, but Zuzin kept an eye on it nonetheless. Although the map couldn't show underground monsters, it would give a warning before monsters emerged from the ground, which was enough. Gripping the stone spear tightly, slowly and cautiously, Zuzin moved towards the golden treasure chest. According to Zuzin's earlier speculation, this monster would amplify his inner thoughts infinitely, driving him to mindlessly fulfill them. Thus, he had to fight against his inner desires. However, Zuzin didn't feel anything unusual at the moment. His mind was extraordinarily clear without that overwhelming urge to realize his thoughts. Without any incident, Zuzin walked step by step to the edge of the golden treasure chest. Standing in front of the golden chest, Zuzin felt puzzled. Just like that. Did he come over? Chapter 34-34 Intense battle. Looking down at the golden treasure chest in front of him, Zuzin hesitated to open it. Did it really come this easily? Zuzin cautiously surveyed his surroundings. He was in the center of a vast sea of yellow flowers, with the ground around him covered in gently swaying yellow blossoms. In a poplar grove, there was this flower sea, which just seemed out of place. He shifted his gaze towards the treasure chest. Could the problem be with the chest? The chest was entirely golden, larger than the silver treasure chest, with a keyhole on its surface. It looked simply like an enlarged version of the silver chest, apart from the color. After pondering for a moment, Zuzin decided to take out the golden key. He couldn't just stand there doing nothing. This flower sea looked eerie, and lingering here might lead to trouble. The shoulder-perched Keek tilted its head at him, seemingly puzzled. What's up, Keek? Did you notice something? Zuzin paused his action, having heard Keek's confused sound for the second time. Is there something wrong with what I'm doing? Once again, Zuzin looked at the treasure chest. Suddenly, Zuzin sensed something was amiss. His expression gradually grew serious, as he took a step back. He put away the golden key, stared at the treasure chest expressionlessly, and suddenly struck it forcefully with a stone spear in his grip. With a bang, the recoil from the stone spear left his palm aching. He heard the sound of two stones colliding, rather than the crisp clink of a spear hitting a metal chest. Stone chips flew everywhere. Suddenly, the golden treasure chest before him began to look illusory, as if the surrounding space was distorting. A strong sense of danger surged once more in Zuzin's heart, and a red dot rapidly appeared on the map. Although the red dot hadn't fully brightened, it was already more prominent than a black bear or vines. This is a big guy. Thoughts raced through his mind, and Zuzin had only one action in mind: run. He sprinted towards the nearest poplar, glancing back with his peripheral vision to see the original spot of the treasure chest. After the illusion faded, there was no golden treasure chest, only a rock as large as the chest. It's fake. The rock was violently shaking at that moment, suddenly cracking open, and amid crisp sounds, the gap widened. With a bang, the rock shattered, and from the hole left by the broken rock, A huge blood-red flower swiftly sprang out. The thick stem, covered in barbs like thorns, rapidly stretched upwards, lifting the flower to nearly 10 meters high. The petals were a bizarre blood red, peppered with dense, bulging yellow spots, and the flower core was deeply hollowed out, filled with sharp red thorns, resembling a lamprey's mouth. A sight that sent shivers down the spine. The entire flower was opening towards Zuzin like a gigantic bloodthirsty maw. Another gigantic monster. Is that a cannibal flower? Because splitting the rock took some time, Zuzin and Keek had successfully escaped to the nearest poplar by now, where the yellow flowers on the ground grew slightly sparser than those in the heart of the flower sea. With cover, Zuzin felt a bit relieved, and Keek had long jumped off his shoulder, emitting hoarse and sharp howls at the monstrous blood-red flower far away. The cannibal flower's eerie flower core undulated, a viscous liquid trickled from its mouth-like opening, and a pungent floral scent hit Zuzin, suddenly making his head feel dizzy. Fortunately, he was prepared, already aware that this flower could affect one's mind, so he pinched himself hard. While clearing his head, several branches covered in barbs swung right before him. Zuzin immediately leaned back, barely dodging as the branch grazed his nose and face. Just then, another branch descended from above, seemingly trying to directly impale him and pin him to the ground. In danger, Zuzin dropped the stone spear, planting his hands on the ground, and performed a side flip, narrowly evading the second branch. The ground where he had been was like soft tofu, penetrated deeply by the branch from above. Having evaded the second branch, Zuzin barely breathed a sigh of relief when a strong sense of danger rose again behind him. Without thinking, he lunged to one side. All he heard was a crack, as the poplar in front of him was swept and snapped in half, collapsing to the ground with a massive sound. This cannibal flower's branch can even sweep a tree in half. Zuzin rolled on the ground and swiftly got back on his feet. He felt his movements slowing as the floral scent affected him, like being weighed down by something heavy. Breath after breath, but the more he inhaled, the more floral scent surged in, making him even more dazed. Once again, Zuzin narrowly dodged the cannibal flower's branch attack, but something suddenly clamped onto his foot. Looking down, he saw it was another branch. Damn it! Without giving him time to react, Zuzin was lifted by his ankle and dangled upside down in midair, dragged toward the cannibal flower's flower core. Eek eek eek! Keek shrieked in panic below. It wasn't targeted by the cannibal flower, which seemed uninterested in it. All branches were aimed at Zuzin. Seeing Zuzin dragged into the air, Keek charged at the cannibal flower's root. All the branches sprouted from that root. Just as Zuzin was about to be hurled into the cannibal flower's gaping maw, Keek bit down on the base of the branch that bound Zuzin's ankle. The branch trembled slightly, and Zuzin quickly pulled a stone axe from his backpack, fiercely striking the bloodthirsty mole-like flower core near his head. The stone axe felt like chopping wood, and shockingly, Zuzin heard a shrill scream from the cannibal flower, which echoed like a piercing whistle from the mole-like flower core. At the same time, the vine around Zuzin's ankle loosened, letting him fall onto the blood-red petals. The texture of these petals felt very raw meat-like, and the yellow protrusions on the petals felt like fleshy bumps, a touch sensation that made Zuzin's hairs stand on end, raising goosebumps on his arms. The stone axe works. Axe-like tools have an exceptional effect on plants. While thinking, Zuzin struck the petal fiercely with the axe. The cannibal flower winced in pain, wailing once more as the enormous flower violently trembled, sprawling its petals out before swiftly closing inward. This flower's going to trap me inside. Zuzin's face changed drastically, frantically hacking at the petals with the axe. Unexpectedly, the petals abruptly stopped closing, and the momentum of Zuzin's continued axe swing slapped the axe onto the petals hard, with a crack sound embedding the axe head deep into the thick petals. What's going on? Zuzin stood amidst the half-closed flower, his heart pounding fiercely while his hand holding the axe trembled slightly. With a slight exertion, he withdrew the axe from the petals, and the axe-penetrated petal gradually cracked along the axe's cut, soon shattering into pieces that scattered on the ground. Zuzin touched the other petals, finding the previously fleshy sensation had hardened. When he applied pressure, the petals crumbled like dried thin pancakes. It's the same situation again, just like the vines around the copper chest earlier. After a few attacks, they seemed drained of moisture, becoming dry and brittle, cracking upon touch. Thankfully, when the cannibal flower's petals closed, the stalk inclined forward, leaving the flower hanging just over 3 meters from the ground. Zuzin grabbed the brittle flower's edge, hooked himself onto it, and then released, easily jumping down. The cannibal flower, now dry and brittle like a specimen due to Zuzin's efforts, broke apart directly, with the enormous flower dropping to the ground and shattering everywhere. Chapter 35-35 Reflection 8. Keek leapt into Zuzin's arms with force, burying her fluffy head into his chest. Alright, Alright, it's over now. Zuzin patted Keek's head, also feeling a sense of relief after a close escape. Recalling everything that had just happened, Zuzin was still in a lingering fear. Even if he had made just one wrong step, he would now have already left this world. The yellow little flowers on the ground began to wither rapidly, and soon, the sea of yellow flowers became a barren wasteland. Not even weeds grew, truly barren. Zuzin sat on the ground, placing Keek on his lap, and put the shirt back on that he had wrapped around his face. As expected, was my mind still affected? Calming his emotions, Zuzin pondered over everything that had just transpired. Previously, wrapping his face with the shirt did not seem to have any effect. If his mind hadn't been affected, he would never have so recklessly entered this eerie sea of flowers, even if there was the gold treasure chest he had been searching for in the middle of it. Yet, he barely hesitated and entered this dangerous realm without much thought. Upon reaching the treasure chest, if it were the usual him, he would definitely have put the gold chest into his backpack and swiftly moved away from the eerie flower sea, choosing another spot to open it, rather than naively attempting to unlock it on the spot. The most obvious sign was naturally the fake treasure chest. He actually mistook a piece of broken stone for a treasure chest. This must have been a hallucination caused by inhaling too much floral fragrance. He looked at Keek, who still had her head buried in his arms, and smiled. If it weren't for this little guy, he would have been doomed today. He took an orange from his backpack and placed it in Keek's arms. Eep! Keek immediately hugged the orange joyfully and began eating. This little guy seemed unaffected by the floral scent, so Keek's two puzzled cries made him suspicious. The first was when he mentioned the gold treasure chest, the second was when he took out the gold key. Those two puzzled cries made Zuzin realize that he and Keek were seeing different things, as Keek seemingly didn't see the gold treasure chest. So when he looked at the chest again, he began to scrutinize it closely. Prior to coming here, Zuzin had seen a bronze treasure chest and a silver treasure chest side by side in his treehouse, with the patterns on the chests forming a beast-like body similar to a Kylan, so he deduced that the gold chest should have the beast's head printed on it. But the pattern on the fake gold chest was chaotic and disordered. Although he couldn't be certain of the authenticity of the chest's patterns, he chose to err on the side of caution, so he directly picked up his stone spear and jabbed at the fake chest, surprisingly breaking the hallucination. If he hadn't discovered the truth and really used the key to open the fake chest, perhaps the process of the stone shattering would have been hidden in the hallucination of opening the chest, and Zuzin wouldn't have had time to escape, possibly not even realizing it before being swallowed whole by the cannibal flower. In the events that followed, he did his utmost and ultimately saved his life. The danger posed by the cannibal flower this time was far greater than previous beast hordes and vines, making Zuzin deeply feel his own insignificance. If not for Keek's assistance and a series of coincidences, he would truly have been unknowingly dragged step by step into hell's abyss by this mind-affecting cannibal flower. These bizarre creatures were terrifying, far more so than those wild beasts. Thankfully, these things couldn't seem to operate within 3 kilometers around the treehouse for long. The previous vines only attacked him twice before ceasing, and while the cannibal flower held on a bit longer, it still ended up as dried-up specimens. After resting for a while to calm down, Zuzin stood up, grabbed the stone spear he had thrown on the ground earlier, and began clearing away the dry and brittle remnants of the cannibal flower around him. This flower was so strange, it must be the guardian monster of the gold treasure chest. Perhaps the gold chest was hidden inside the cannibal flower's body just like the bronze chest before. However, after poking through all the remnants of the cannibal flower, Zuzin still didn't find what he was looking for inside. Could it be that this time the treasure chest is not inside the monster? Clearing the remnants aside, the hole formed by the splitting rocks appeared before him. The inside of the hole was pitch black. But this was not a problem for Zuzin, as he had eaten the red berries, granting him night vision. No matter how dark the environment, it seemed like daytime to him. The hole was wide enough for someone to pass through, but inside wasn't the golden treasure chest he imagined, rather, it was an underground cave with a height of just over 2 meters. From Zuzin's angle, he couldn't see what was deeper in the cave. The entrance broken open by the cannibal flower exposed the vertical ground below. It was evident the gigantic cannibal flower had emerged from a deeper level underground, possibly just passing by this underground cave. What kind of place is this? Could the gold treasure chest be inside? Zuzin pondered. Eep. Keek pulled on Zuzin's clothes from within his arms and pointed at the cave with her paw, then used both paws to form a rectangle shape. You mean, the treasure chest is down there? Eep. Keek nodded, her big tail brushing against Zuzin's arm. How do you know? Zuzin was still very curious about the magical nature of Keek. Eep. Keek cocked her head. Forget it, she couldn't explain anyway. But. Zuzin frowned. The space below was too narrow, the width of the cave barely allowed a person to pass through. If a danger arises, like more vines or something, In such a small space, there would be no place to hide, leaving almost no chance of escape. If the gold treasure chest was in this cave, Zuzin was considering giving up. He had already obtained a silver chest, so he wouldn't be eliminated at the end for sure. Eep. Seeing Zuzin's hesitation, Keek immediately leaped down from his arms, clutching his pant leg, trying to lead him down. An idea struck Zuzin, and he asked, "Keek, is there no danger below?" Keek nodded her little head. With Keek's affirmative response, Zuzin's fear of the unknown cave below was greatly reduced. He glanced at the cave entrance, thought for a moment, and decided to go down to find the gold treasure chest. At least, so far, Keek's perception of danger has been very accurate. Whether it was the first time with the bronze chest or this time with the cannibal flower, Keek had given a similar warning before the monster appeared, and there was no such alert before facing the harmless crocodile. Currently, the likelihood of correctly predicting danger was 100%. Thus Zuzin decided to trust her this time. After all, after going through such dangerous situations, narrowly escaping death, yet returning empty-handed would make even Zuzin feel unwilling. But before that, Zuzin needed to widen this opening a bit. If something happened, this small hole would be too difficult to climb out of. Pulling out his blue-grade shovel from his backpack, Zuzin got to work. Within 10 minutes, Zuzin widened the straight-up hole into a sloped path that could be directly walked down. Perfect, in case something happens inside, I can run straight back up. Zuzin looked with satisfaction at his handiwork and put the shovel back into his backpack. Chapter 36-36, The Mysterious Underground Cave. Having prepared everything, Zuzin entered the underground cave with a stone spear. He was a bit sensitive to the word underground now, so even though Keek told him there was no danger below, he still remained highly alert and replenished himself with red berries and oranges. Upon first entering the cave, Zuzin looked ahead. The cave was narrow, only slightly wider than his shoulders, and the cramped space couldn't even allow two people to walk side by side. The direction of the cave wasn't forward but sloping downwards, and as Zuzin followed the path, he found himself getting farther and farther from the surface. The sides of the passage were rough earth walls, looking as if they had been dug out artificially. Zuzin could see the end of the path at a glance. The end of the cave was only a few hundred meters away from him. Strange, a dead end? Zuzin wondered aloud. He checked the surrounding walls as he walked, expecting to find other passages leading in different directions, but when he reached the end of the cave and touched the earth wall with his hands, he still found no other paths. The end of the cave was no longer sloping downward but was flat ground. Zuzin calculated that the position he was in was about 20 or 30 meters from the surface. Looking down at Keek, he saw Keek at his feet, digging the ground with its small paws. Zuzin focused, noticing the color of that patch of earth was slightly different from its surroundings. If it weren't for his night vision ability that allowed him to see in the dark as if it were broad daylight, he wouldn't have noticed the difference in soil color even with a torch. This patch of earth had been loosened. The treasure chest must be buried here. Alright, Keek, leave it to me. Zuzin moved the hard-working Keek aside and took out a spade to start digging at the patch of differently colored soil. Yep, yep, yep. In a careless moment, Zuzin accidentally showered Keek with dirt, and Keek protested, shaking the dirt off and jumping up to hug Zuzin's leg. Haha, sorry, Keek. Zuzin couldn't help but chuckle, patting Keek's head, feeling the earth particles on its little head, giving it a gentle pat. I'll give you a bath when we get back. Yep. Zuzin continued digging, but even when the depth of the hole reached his waist, he still hadn't found anything. He looked at the soil in the pit, and as he dug, the earth began to take on a tinge of red. Although it wasn't very noticeable, Zuzin spotted it easily. Is there really no danger? Zuzin hesitated, as the soil seemed to be stained with blood, reminding him of the blood-red lines and thorns on the dark green vines, and the blood-red petals and stamens of the cannibal flower. He sighed and patted the small creature's head, saying, if something goes wrong here, we might both die together. Yep. Keek had one paw holding onto Zuzin's leg and patted its chest with the other, as if to say, trust it, if it says there's no danger, there's no danger. He decided to continue trusting Keek. Having come this far, giving up halfway wouldn't be good. He continued digging, but instead of digging straight down, he angled his digging upwards at the entrance to the cave, creating a path to walk up again, and laid the excavated soil flat in the passage, ensuring nothing blocked his way out. Better to leave an escape route first, just in case he needed to dig very deep. It could be tricky to get back up. He continued digging until the hole's depth was almost as tall as he was when his shovel suddenly hit something hard, producing a sound different from stone, as if it were made of metal. Zuzin's eyes lit up. Was it the treasure chest? He quickened his digging pace, swiftly clearing the earth beneath him. Underfoot was indeed metal, but to his disappointment, it wasn't gold, it was iron. Not knowing how long this iron object had been buried, its surface was covered with a layer of dark red rust. Zuzin cleared the surrounding dirt around the exposed iron surface, discovering it wasn't just some small thing, but an underground iron door. A door leading to deeper underground. Why is it a door? Zuzin muttered, looking at the rusty handle. A door to an underground space? This iron door gave him the same feeling as a manhole cover by the roadside, but a manhole cover is round, whereas this rusted iron door was square, with an iron handle just like the rest. He dug around and discovered the surroundings were still completely stained red soil, unlike any red earth Zuzin had seen before. Zuzin grabbed a handful of soil. Polluted soil, gray quality, soil contaminated by an unknown force, useless to survivors. Indeed, this soil was also problematic. He tossed the soil aside, staring at the iron door. There was no other way but to go down. He dug out a space big enough to stand, grabbing the handle and taking a deep breath, then forcefully pulling upwards. The iron door was very heavy, but fortunately, it wasn't locked. With his twice-enhanced strength, Zuzin exerted all his might and finally began moving the iron door. The rusty iron door made a sharp screeching sound, opening a crack. Before Zuzin could apply more force, a strong, unpleasant odor rushed out from the crack, catching him off guard and making its way into his nose. Ugh! Zuzin dry-heaved, losing his grip, and with a bang, the iron door he had just cracked open slammed shut again. Even Keek let out a sharp cry of disgust from the smell, giving a little retch. What on earth is in there? Why does it stink so much? Zuzin had mild pharyngitis and usually gagged at unpleasant smells, but this nausea wasn't even related to his condition because the odor under the iron door was far beyond a normal person's tolerance. It was unbearably foul. Like spoiled herring in a can mixed with moldy pickled bamboo shoots, a smell that was physically repulsive. With no other option, Zuzin reused his old trick, using his clothes as a mask to cover his nose. Gripping the rust-covered handle again, Zuzin exerted his whole body. Amidst a teeth-gritting sound, the iron door opened again to a crack. Suppressing his nausea, Zuzin increased his strength. Up. You. Go. Crash. The iron door flipped completely over, falling heavily to the other side. A red gas wafted up from below, the foul odor swiftly filling Zuzin's nostrils. Zuzin couldn't hold it in any longer and rushed to the passage above, tearing the clothes from his face and hurling. Too foul, just unbearably foul. Zuzin thought that the smell from behind this door was even scarier than the cannibal flower. It was practically a biological weapon. Keek was also clutching the cave wall with its little paws, making a series of retching sounds beside him. No way, the whole cave was filled with this smell. Zuzin grabbed Keek and bolted to the surface, taking huge breaths of the fresh air from the jungle. He had never found the jungle air so refreshing, even found the faint scent of the cannibal flower around him pleasant. After catching his breath, Zuzin bit his lip. He couldn't let mere odor make him give up. Steeling himself, he prepared to truly enter this dreadfully smelly iron door this time. Just as Zuzin was about to head back down the cave, he paused, his eye twitching as he looked at the hole he had enlarged. A faint red gas was slowly seeping from it, spreading around the entrance, drifting to Zuzin, entering his nose. Ugh! Chapter 37-37, Explorer from Earth? Sitting 10 meters away from the cave entrance, Zuzin held Keek, quietly waiting for the red gas to disperse. It wasn't that he didn't want to go in, the smell was simply unbearable for humans. Moreover, Zuzin was somewhat worried the smell might be toxic. Although his body was only weak from vomiting the dinner, who knows if inhaling too much would cause serious effects. It's better to be cautious. Gradually, no more red gas floated out from the cave entrance, and the surrounding red color dispersed with the wind. Zuzin walked to the cave entrance and looked inside. There was still a faint red gas inside the cave, but it had significantly weakened compared to when it first emerged. After all, there's no ventilation inside the cave, so expecting these gases to completely dissipate isn't realistic. This was the best outcome. Zuzin sighed and asked Keek, "Are you coming down with me?" Keek's body stiffened. After hesitating for a moment, it nodded its little head and jumped onto Zuzin's shoulder. This little guy. Zuzin patted its head, tied his clothes around his face, grit his teeth, and entered the cave. In the cavern, faint red lingered in the passage, but to Zuzin's surprise, the red gas wasn't filling the whole corridor, it only lingered above the cave space. He tried bending down, and indeed, although the low air still carried a hint of that eerie stench, it was within his tolerable range now. It seems this strange gas is lighter than air. That's good, the foul gas inside the iron door must have already drifted out. Bending down, Zuzin advanced through the cave, quickly reaching the open underground iron door. Looking inside, there was a narrow iron passage only allowing one person up and down. Iron ladders were fixed to the walls, and who knows how deep they went. The ladders were covered in rust. Zuzin was a bit hesitant looking at this passage, but he still stepped onto the ladder and began climbing down. The passage was long. Zuzin climbed step by step. The only sounds in the underground well-like passage were his footsteps and Keek's occasional whimpering on his shoulder. The little one was also scared, clutching tightly onto the clothes on his shoulder, fearing it might fall off at any moment. This passage is too long. I wouldn't end up underground, would I? The passage was too long, and Zuzin felt his arms starting to tremble. But he couldn't help it, he was already halfway down, he couldn't climb back up and give up. Continuing to climb down. Who knows how long he climbed, just as Zuzin felt he could barely hold on to the ladder, he finally reached a room. After climbing down another 4 or 5 meters, Zuzin set foot on the ground. Finally climbed down. Zuzin stood on the ground, rubbing his arm muscles, such a long iron passage consumed so much iron. Mumbling to himself, he turned around and began inspecting his surroundings. His gaze shifted, and his pupils shrank abruptly as he gasped. The room was empty, 3 walls were standard iron plates, not even a window, with only one wall having a very heavy and solid door. The door was round, much like a vault door. And the first thing he saw was a human skeleton, dressed in tattered clothes, leaning against a wall. Someone has been here before. Zuzin was shocked. Beneath the wild depths, there was a vault-like underground room, and here was a skeleton. Who was he? Perhaps a survivalist from before? Or a native of this world? Examining his attire, despite the clothes being inexplicably tattered, he could still tell it was standard wilderness survival gear. Walking forward, Zuzin saw a dirty bundle beside the skeleton. Made from animal skin, it had lain underground so long the outer skin had mostly peeled off, looking extremely shabby. "Sorry, brother," Zuzin silently mumbled, opening the bundle. A moldy smell emanated from the animal skin bundle. The contents were rather mixed. Zuzin dumped them out, counting what was inside. An entirely rusty, collapsed multi-purpose knife, an empty lighter, and a small flashlight. These are earth tools. This person must have been a wilderness survivalist. The tools were complete. Zuzin murmured, but the question is, why would anyone bring earth tools to this world? Keek hopped down from his shoulder, pawing through the items. There was even a wrapper of eaten compressed biscuits. He picked up the lighter and flashlight. Although the writing was a bit blurry and the flashlight's exterior cracked, Zuzin could still see the product names and logos, written in unknown language. Zuzin had some exposure to European languages. These letters should be Greek. He picked up the compressed biscuit packaging. Although he couldn't understand the text, he could see the fuzzy production date. April 1980. Ordinary compressed biscuits have a shelf life of about 3 years. If this person didn't eat expired biscuits, it means he's been dead for nearly 40 years. 40 years ago, someone had already arrived in this world. The moon here changes from full to new within a day, and it's noticeably larger than in his original world. Zuzin knew this wasn't his original world, even though he saw Earth merchandise here, which didn't change his view. His back felt cold, wondering what secrets this world concealed. Were people sent here 40 years ago? How could he bring things from there? Examining the room again, Zuzin increasingly felt it resembled a prison. But even prisons have toilets and beds. This room was empty except for the ragged-clothed skeleton, a heavy iron door, and an openable passage overhead resembling a ventilator. Inside the bundle wasn't any diary for Zuzin's reference. He looked at the skeleton again. Besides the tattered clothes, there was nothing valuable. He felt somewhat disappointed. It figures, who writes diaries seriously? Ying. Keek suddenly cried, staring at the iron wall behind the skeleton. What? Zuzin followed Keek's gaze. On the iron wall behind the skeleton seemed to be some writing, partially obscured by the skeleton, with only a small part of the inscription visible. Zuzin gently moved the skeleton. Unexpectedly, with a slight push, the skeleton tilted sideways, fell to the ground, bones scattered everywhere, startling Zuzin, who jumped back. The skull rolled around on the iron ground, finally stopping in front of Zuzin, face up, seemingly staring with its hollow eyes. Hiss! Zuzin gasped. He previously didn't believe in ghosts or spirits, nor feared skeletons, but his worldview started to crumble since arriving here. Science couldn't explain why he woke up in this world, why plants grew so rapidly, or why eating fruit granted special abilities. In this world, anything was possible, including the skeleton suddenly coming to life. However, it didn't come alive, it merely looked as if it was staring straight at Zuzin. The iron chamber was quiet. Zuzin suppressed his unease, looking at the now unobstructed wall. The inscriptions were knife-carved, surrounded by purple-black stains resembling dried blood. But frustratingly, the wall lettering was similar to the flashlight and biscuit packaging, strange letters. Zuzin had only learned English and encountered some Spanish. He couldn't understand other European languages, let alone Greek, the second hardest language. Ying? Keek tilted its head at the wall text, unable to comprehend, turning its gaze to the skeleton skull. It's so frustrating, finding clues but not understanding them. Zuzin sighed, eyeing the heavy door. The success of this underground exploration depended entirely on what lay behind the door. Chapter 38-38, The Tip of the World's Iceberg. Zuzin walked up to the incredibly heavy-looking iron door. This iron door was designed like the door of a vault, and at this moment, he was inside. Zuzin had seen in movies and games how vault doors opened, typically by turning an exterior circular dial like a reverse wheel. After a hissing sound, the circular door would push outward and then slide to the left or right. But since he was inside the room, he found no circular switch, so he could only try to push the door open with his hands. Screech. A harsh sound of metal grinding echoed as Zuzin used all his strength to slowly push the door. There's hope. Seeing the door move, Zuzin felt a surge of joy and exerted more force. Click. With a crisp sound, the round iron door was entirely pushed out of the frame, leaving a gap about 2 fingers wide between the door and frame. Zuzin didn't hurry to open the door but instead peered through the gap outside. He expected to find a modern room like a vault outside, but to his surprise, what he saw through the gap was a wall of soil with a faint red hue, as if he had entered a cave again. Another cave outside? Zuzin was puzzled. Doesn't that mean that underground, there is a solitary, square iron room like a vault, with a European person from their world from the 80s of the last century dead inside? So strange. Keek, there's danger outside. What are you doing? Zuzin looked at Keek, who was pawing at a skull, and his eyelid twitched. The poor skull was being rolled on the ground like a ball by Keek, left paw, right paw. The scene was bizarre. A cute little panda playing with a skull. Ying? Keek looked at Zuzin in confusion. True, Keek is a little panda, you can't expect it to have a fear of human skulls. Zuzin shook his head helplessly. I'll have to give you a good bath after we get out. Ying. However, this little disturbance strangely alleviated his fear of the skull. Keek, is there danger outside? Ying. Keek shook its little head, indicating it didn't feel any danger. Zuzin took a deep breath, extended his fingers through the gap, and, with force, dragged the door to one side. With a screeching sound, the door was slowly opened halfway. Zuzin stopped. It was enough for him to pass through. He went through the door and looked outside. Seeing everything outside, Zuzin froze. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. He thought it was a cave, but he was wrong, so wrong. Ying. Even Keek let out a surprised cry. Instinctively, Zuzin took 2 steps forward, then suddenly stopped. He suddenly realized he was on the edge of a cliff. Yes, the edge of a cliff. Small stones and soil rolled off the cliff edge, and when Zuzin looked down, he couldn't help but clench his teeth, facial muscles twitching, as a bead of sweat slipped down his forehead. Below the cliff, almost 1,000 meters deep, was a vast underground world that seemed endless. With his night vision capability, he could see everything in the underground world. Is this real? Zuzin's lips trembled slightly as he stared dumbly at the scene before him. He saw countless green and blood-red vines wildly dancing below. He saw a giant cannibal flower with a mouth like blossom devouring an animal that looked similar to a dinosaur. He saw an enormous monster, tens of meters tall, covered in green seaweed, tearing off those blood-red vines and stuffing them into its mouth. He saw countless bugs, the size of cars, with tails emitting dazzling light, flying and swirling around the cannibal flowers. A dance of chaos. The scene before him was unbelievably surreal. The sheer volume of information stunned him. He blankly gazed around. He was at the top of this underground world, in a cave, with the ceiling of the underground world just above him, reachable with his hand. If the underground world were seen as a massive room, he was now like a tiny bug situated in the gap between the ceiling lamp and the ceiling, looking down on this gigantic room, and those monsters were the residents of this room, living in it. On the map, the densely packed red dots instilled a sense of fear and despair in him. Congratulations, you have discovered one of the hidden secrets behind this world, becoming the first of the surviving group to discover the underground world. Rewards will be issued after this jungle exploration event concludes. Please do not share the secrets of the world with those who are unaware, or you will face extremely severe punishment. Don't panic, the underground world isn't something current survivors can handle. Handling the Beast Rebellion is what survivors should consider now. Keep up the good work, strengthen yourself, and strive to survive in this world. Another kind reminder, never abandon your little tree house, it's your only support. The mysterious voice rang in his ears again, snapping him back to reality. In contrast to these monsters, the mysterious voice now felt so comforting. Wait a minute. Where on earth is this place? Why is there such a vast space underground and so many monsters? Zuzin asked the question foremost on his mind. The secrets of the world need to be explored by the survivors themselves. The mysterious voice only gave him this response, and no matter how he inquired, it spoke no more. By now, Keek had long since burrowed into Zuzin's arms, burying its head and shivering with fear. The sheer multitude of monsters below was overwhelming, and even at 1,000 meters deep, Zuzin could feel the oppressive presence of those gigantic monsters, let alone Keek. Fortunately, the mysterious voice just mentioned that they didn't need to deal with these gigantic monsters now and should first consider how to handle the beast rebellion, meaning the monsters wouldn't emerge now. He simply knew the content of a future version in advance. This truly made Zuzin heave a sigh of relief. Then he suddenly remembered something. Keek, didn't you say the gold treasure chest was here? Don't tell me it's down below? Let's find the gold chest first. Zuzin calmed his current state of mind and patted the little creature's head in his arms. Ying. Keek suddenly remembered this matter too, jumped out of Zuzin's arms, and tugged at his pant leg, signaling him to follow it. The exterior of the gigantic round iron door was more than just a small nook on a cliff. There were other openings on the cave wall that Zuzin, overwhelmed, hadn't noticed. Following behind Keek, Zuzin quickly reached the end and saw the gold treasure chest at the end. Even in the dark underground world, the chest emitted a faint golden glow, illuminating the surrounding area at the end of the cave. Zuzin examined the treasure chest and first confirmed the design on it, which indeed was an animal head, though different from the Kylan in his memory. It seemed the designs on the three chests were not Kylan's. Zuzin decided to open the gold chest here. He took out the key, inserted it into the key slot of the chest, turned it, and a mechanical sound echoed as the chest unlocked. Ying. Keek climbed to the edge of the chest and peered inside. The gold chest contained a bottle of grey potion and a thin card. Chapter 39-39, Golden Treasure Chest Reflection. What is this? Zuzin picked up the bottle of grey potion. Special Treehouse Root Potion, purple. Pour it under the treehouse to promote the development of its roots. Each potion can expand the treehouse's protection range by 3 kilometers, a purple grade potion. And it's a potion that expands the treehouse's protection range. Zuzin's current treehouse protection range is 3 kilometers in radius. After using this potion, it will expand to a radius of 6 kilometers. This is not just a doubling, the radius doubles, and the protected area actually expands 4-fold. This means that after using this potion on his treehouse, Zuzin's exploration range will become 4 times what it is now. Within this expanded range, there might be another resource area. Good stuff, really good stuff. It's truly worthy of a golden treasure chest. Zuzin picked up the thin card again. Automatic unlock contract for metal products, purple. Unlock all recipes for metal products. After using this contract, for all metal-related recipes, you only need to acquire all kinds of raw materials to automatically unlock them. Following the treehouse transformation contract, he obtained yet another contract, pertaining to metal product recipes. With this contract, Zuzin will finally no longer be limited to just making stone tools. Congratulations, you have opened the gold, silver, and copper chests, becoming the first survivor to find and open all 3 chests in this batch. The rewards will be distributed after the current jungle exploration activity ends. Survivor, please keep it up, strengthen yourself, and strive to survive in this world. The mysterious voice sounded again. He is the first person to obtain all the chests. The activity isn't over yet, and he wonders whether others will find the golden chest. To be honest, if it weren't for Keek's insistence to pull him down below where the golden chest was, he would never, given his cautious nature, have dug out the underground passage. The conditions for obtaining this golden chest are truly too harsh. Zuzin shook his head, choosing not to dwell on these thoughts as he looked at the contract in his hand and decided to use it. As before, the card representing the contract shattered and merged into Zuzin's body, and he felt a surge of power pouring into every corner of his being. This time, he felt not only stronger but also clearer-headed, quickly reviewing everything he had just experienced in his mind. First of all, that gigantic cannibal flower must be the monster guarding the entrance to this underground world. Underneath, this abrupt iron room has been buried for many years, just like the people in it, but those incredibly foul red mists in the room came from who knows where. The people in the room weren't from this world, yet they brought tools and food from their original world here, suggesting their entry into this world differs from Zuzin and these survivors, though he cannot figure out exactly how. This task's golden chest and the secret of the underground space are bound together. Whoever finds the golden chest must have seen the secret of this underground world beforehand. Those who cannot find the location of the golden chest naturally cannot discover this secret. Who exactly is that mysterious voice? Why did it bring them to this world? Perhaps, was it to let them grow and then fight those monsters deep underground? How were those monsters even created? The size disparity with the surface creatures is too vast. He recalled the lake giant python and the creek-bottom giant crocodile. These two enormous, beyond reason creatures must be from the subterranean realm, and very likely, the lake beneath connects to a kilometer deep underground. And then there's this potion from the golden chest. Zuzin examined the bottle of grey potion in his hand, which held about 300 milliliters, weighing approximately the same as a canned drink. The potion's function is to promote the development of treehouse roots, expanding its protection range. Could this imply that what protects Zuzin and the other survivors from subterranean creatures is the treehouse's roots? An image formed in Zuzin's mind. During the 2 hours of treehouse growth, as the treehouse grew above the ground, its roots were simultaneously diverging below, extending outward for 3 kilometers. The treehouse roots intricately spread underground, blocking monsters that try to emerge. Any appearing monster would quickly be transformed into dry, brittle specimens as the roots absorb them. So as the treehouse roots grow longer, the protection range also enlarges correspondingly. Zuzin felt this explanation seemed reasonable. It explains why the mysterious voice could emphatically stress repeatedly not to abandon the small treehouse, as it is the most potent weapon against subterranean monsters and their greatest safeguard. Having figured this out, Zuzin's mood lightened slightly. According to what the mysterious voice previously said, the monsters underground will not attack them anytime soon, so they only need to focus on dealing with beasts on the surface. The treehouse will protect them well. Zuzin placed the golden chest into his backpack. Though forged of gold and quite heavy, Zuzin's strength has been boosted several times, rendering him no longer as he was before. Combined with a backpack that reduces weight to 20%, carrying the chest on his back poses no issue. He actually looked forward to seeing what happens after collecting all 3 chests and completing the symbol. Before leaving, he decided to take one last look at the underground world, as he likely wouldn't return for a long time after leaving this time. Keek didn't walk to the edge of the cliff like him but stayed back, lying down, seemingly afraid, staying away from the cliff. It remained a chaotic scene of wild monsters. Giant monsters draped in seaweed, enormous cannibal flowers several times larger than those on the surface, blood-red vines everywhere, firefly-like creatures the size of small carts, and other colossal plants and animals impossible to find on land. These are what he will face in the future. He must rapidly enhance himself, acquiring the ability to confront these threats. Zuzin looked forward, his gaze suddenly fixed. He saw numerous protrusions at the top of the entire underground world. Zuzin's current position was akin to a light on the ceiling of a room, and those protrusions were other lights. These protrusions must be the other survivors' treehouses, or rather, their roots, Zuzin mused. According to his speculation, the inside of these protrusions should be a complicated network of treehouse roots, protecting him and the other survivors from the interference of subterranean creatures. Though we don't know who brought us here, they should definitely be playing a big game. Zuzin took one last glance at the underground world and then turned back into the iron room. The skeletons still scattered across the ground. Zuzin grabbed hold of Keek, who desired to play ball, and placed him upon his shoulder. Ying. Keek protested slightly but obediently lay on his shoulder. The upcoming task seemed simple yet difficult. Climb up. Looking at the deep passage, Zuzin felt his legs trembling. Previously, just climbing down left his arms aching unbearably. Now to climb up. And he's even carrying a golden chest. It's exhausting. Zuzin glances at the little creature on his shoulder. Can you climb by yourself? Ying ying ying. Keek shook his head vigorously. Such a lazy thing. Ying. Keek wished to argue back, but each step of the stairs matched the length of his body. How could he climb? With a sigh, Zuzin decided to eat something before climbing up. Earlier, everything he ate last night had been vomited out, and though the contract swiftly restored his physical strength, he had been down here for such a long time that surely daylight had returned above, and it was definitely mealtime. Just as he pulled out an apple to take a bite, a hissing sound of gas escaping suddenly arose beside him. What sound is that? Zuzin turned around cautiously. In his horrified gaze, the partly opened iron door automatically shut with a loud bang, followed by familiar red gas gushing from the gaps in the iron room's walls and floor, gradually spreading outward. Damn. Chapter 40-40, Crawl. Without another word, Zuzin leapt onto the rusty iron ladder and began desperately climbing upwards. The red gas. Wasn't it the same stench that had burst forth from the iron door of the underground tunnel, making him question his very existence? That smoke would rise, surely spreading along the tunnel, until it filled the entire passage. He absolutely couldn't let those fumes catch up to him. Whether they were toxic was another matter, but he never wanted to smell the hell-like fish can odor again. Climb. Climb faster. With a small panda named Keek on his shoulder and a golden treasure chest strapped to his back, Zuzin climbed frantically upwards as if on steroids. Carrying the golden chest was like running with weights, but when he thought of the patterns on the chest, he gritted his teeth and refused to let it go. He didn't know how long he'd been climbing, only that his hands and feet were nearing numbness. At last, unable to persevere, he hung there on the rusty ladder, gasping for air. He looked backwards, his face showing fear. Surprisingly, and to his relief, the red mist hadn't followed closely behind. It was far below, and with his night vision, Zuzin could barely make out the faint red. The spread of the red gas seemed slower than he'd imagined. Zuzin breathed a huge sigh of relief, plopping down on a section of the ladder to rest. Before the red gas caught up, he'd better eat something first. Zuzin pulled out an apple and started munching, while handing one to Keek. Keek also started nibbling on an apple atop his shoulder. Once Man and Panda had eaten their fill, Zuzin was more or less rested. He was amazed at how he felt physically. Had it been in the past, he wouldn't have recovered so quickly after such intense exertion. His physical condition had vastly improved. He glanced below. The red gas had drawn a bit nearer but was still far away. However, Zuzin wasted no time, continuing his upward climb. Only by reaching the surface, on the treehouse protected ground, could he find some peace of mind. This time, Zuzin maintained his pace, no longer frantic, inching ever closer to the exit with each step. After climbing another long stretch, just when he felt he was nearing the exit, Keek suddenly began chirping frantically, full of anxiety. "What's wrong?" Seeing Keek so alarmed, Zuzin turned to look. And was aghast. That trace of red was alarmingly close, only 5 or 6 meters away. How could this be? Why was it spreading so quickly? In an instant, Zuzin grasped the principle. The red gas spread slowly but not from the source below. As more was released, the concentration increased, and with heightened pressure, the spread naturally accelerated. Damn! Zuzin cursed, speeding his upward climb. This time he learned his lesson, maintaining his pace without exerting full force, yet the speed was taxing on his body, and his breathing began to falter. While climbing, Zuzin glanced back repeatedly. The red was now only 2 or 3 meters away. "I see the exit." Zuzin burst with excitement, disregarding any rhythm and climbed as fast as he could. Just before the red mist was about to catch him, Zuzin lunged through the iron door, using every last ounce of strength to lift the heavy iron cover and slam it shut over the exit. Bam! Wisps of red smoke seeped through the final crack in the iron cover, while the rest were trapped beneath, confined within the infinitely long passage. That streak of red smoke drifted into Zuzin's nose. Ugh! Just a small wisp made Zuzin nauseous. He couldn't imagine what it'd be like if drenched in the red smoke. Sitting at the exit, Zuzin breathed heavily. His arms and legs trembled from the excessive climb, and he felt quite dizzy. Keek sprawled on his legs, tilting his head as if to ask, "Why are you so tired?" "You little thing." Zuzin grumbled, tousling Keek's head gently. After resting for a few minutes, Zuzin felt his strength return and stood up. He exited the passage. Sunlight fell upon him. It was already high noon outside. Having stayed in the relative darkness for so long, Zuzin's eyes couldn't handle the sudden light, shielding them with his hand. Gradually adjusting, he looked at the ordinary plants on the ground, finally smiling with relief. The world below was truly oppressive. The physical and mental toll on this journey had been relentless. Having seen the monsters of the underground, Zuzin found the surface's beasts oddly endearing. The surroundings remained desolate from the wilted yellow flowers. Home, home. Zuzin now just wanted to return to the treehouse for a good sleep. Although his orange-blue quality kept his spirits high, the fatigue in his body and mind was at its peak. All he wanted was to lay in bed and waste away. Currently, it would take about an hour to walk back from his location. Ugh! When will I get a means of transportation? Zuzin thought of the 1-hour walk ahead, his recently relaxed legs tensed with pain again. He glanced at the little fellow on his shoulder who had started to nap again, shaking his head helplessly. Goodness, am I the steed here? No choice, he had to walk back. It was already afternoon of the second day. Judging by the sun, it was around 2 o'clock, the hottest time. Zuzin pulled out the bottled water from his new supply and took a couple of gulps, leisurely strolling towards the treehouse. Once he used the special treehouse root potion, the treehouse's protection range would extend 3 kilometers outward, quadrupling the area, daunting for exploration merely by walking. Zuzin opened the map. Only the beasts in the northwestern hills were visible. Once the treehouse's protection expanded, even those hills would be safeguarded. The iron armor should be unlocked by now. Perhaps I can try hunting beasts there. After over an hour's walk, Zuzin finally arrived at the lakeside, the treehouse across the lake. The lake appeared calm, barely discernible were the piranhas swimming within. Why do these piranhas seem more active, extending their range? Am I imagining it? Zuzin frowned. He noticed that the nearest piranha appeared closer to the shore than when he'd left the previous night. Maybe it's just coincidence, Zuzin consoled himself, having no effective means of dealing with piranhas. As he strolled by the lakeside, Zuzin picked up plenty of reeds to craft ropes. Returning beneath the treehouse, Zuzin took out the gray potion from his backpack and poured it at the treehouse roots. Treehouse roots begin secondary growth, lasting 2 hours. Treehouse cannot be entered or exited during this period, Zuzin. What does root growth have to do with entering or exiting the treehouse? Frustrated, Zuzin stared at the nearby treehouse, having traveled several kilometers, only to be locked out of his home by his own treehouse. Chapter 41, Event Ends. Ranking sitting under the treehouse, Zuzin looked speechlessly at the sun gradually setting in the west. He knew why he couldn't go up. The root that pulls him up is actually the aerial root of the banyan tree, a type of adventitious root. Essentially, it's still a root, and since the roots are undergoing secondary development, this aerial root naturally has temporarily stopped functioning to access the treehouse. It's so difficult, even lying up there doing nothing is impossible. After sitting for a while, Zuzin decided to do something. Zuzin looked at his backpack, which contained a stone spear, stone axe, stone pickaxe, stone shovel, a golden treasure chest, a few bottles of water, and several kinds of fruit. Just these few items nearly filled up all 10 slots in his backpack. Because of this, he left the fertilizer and seeds in the treehouse when he went out last night, meaning he couldn't plant birch and pine trees now. The slots are still not enough, need a more advanced backpack. Let's cut out an area first, otherwise there's no place to plant these 2 kinds of trees. Zuzin first took the golden treasure chest out of his backpack and placed it next to the base of the treehouse. Even inside the backpack, it was heavy enough, affecting his work if carried on his person. He then took Keek, who was drowsily sleeping, off his shoulder and placed her on top of the golden treasure chest. Keek let out a weak whimper, slightly opened her eyes. "Help me watch the golden treasure chest, don't let anyone take it," Zuzin joked to Keek, knowing there was nobody else around. Keek slightly nodded her little head and curled up again, continuing to sleep. Zuzin then pulled out a stone axe, found an area with a lot of green level soil near the treehouse, and began indiscriminate chopping. The chopped wood was directly packed into his backpack. His stone axe was blue level, meaning he could chop very quickly, taking 1 hit for a white leveled poplar tree, 2 for a green leveled one. Soon enough, he cleared a section. 70% of this area consisted of green level soil, the remaining 30% white soil, Zuzin decided not to deal with, because the size of a soil patch was about 1 square meter. Considering planting spacing, not every patch could have trees, so this setup was good enough. Zuzin then ran to the lakeside, harvested some reeds, and dug out a few lotus roots for tonight's dinner. Lotus root with bear meat, perfect? Before leaving the lakeside, Zuzin looked toward the center where the piranhas were. Indeed, he still felt the activity range of the piranhas seemed to have expanded a bit, not much, but definitely closer to him. Looks like he needs to think of a way to deal with these piranhas. If he lets the situation develop, and piranhas expand their range across the entire lake, not only other fish and shrimp would be completely doomed, but getting water and gathering by the lake could also be affected. If these piranhas swim into the creek, Zuzin didn't dare to imagine that scene. He wondered if the giant crocodiles in the creek could resolve these piranhas. Treehouse root system secondary growth complete. Treehouse protection range expanded to a radius of 6 kilometers. Suddenly, a notification sounded in Zuzin's ears, and he rejoiced. Finally he could go home. Having slept for 2 hours, Keek was now awake, sitting dazedly on the golden treasure chest. "We're going up, Keek, going home." Whimper. Zuzin placed the golden treasure chest back into the backpack. The wood and treasure chest inside made him feel overwhelmed, so he quickly grabbed Keek and entered the treehouse. He placed all the chopped wood on the first floor, then went back to his 3rd floor. Comfortable. He tossed his backpack onto the ground, letting himself fall onto the wooden bed. The bed had a fast recovery feature for energy and mental strength. Just lying on it relieved a bit of fatigue for Zuzin. Keek curled up on the bed, sleeping once again. However, Zuzin didn't rest too long, only laying down for a bit before sitting up. Just as he sat up, the mysterious voice sounded again. Jungle exploration event concluded. Congratulations to all survivors who found treasure chests and obtained exclusive resources during this exploration event. You are outstanding treehouse explorers. Survivors who didn't find a treasure chest, don't lose heart. This is only the first step. There's still a chance to catch up to them. Now announcing the regional ranking from this event. The top 100 will receive corresponding rewards. Survivors are invited to check on the screen inside the treehouse. Survivors in the last 50 spots. You have 10 minutes left to bid farewell to the world. Zuzin quickly approached the screen, and upon opening it, he saw another option unlocked. Ranking. Opening this option, it only contained one event, Jungle Exploration Event, which could be selected. Continuing to open, a ranking list was displayed in front of him. First place, Zhu Xin, opened gold, silver, copper treasure chests, and obtained several other resources, highest blue level. Second place, Ji Qiang, opened gold, silver, copper treasure chests, and obtained several other resources, highest blue level. Third place, Wen Gaixin, opened silver, copper treasure chests, and obtained several other resources, highest blue level. Fourth place, Li Wenxi, opened silver, copper treasure chests, and obtained several other resources, highest blue level. 7,132nd place, Lu Renjia did not obtain treasure chest or any other resources. The last one was the 7,132nd place. Can't stay anonymous anymore. Zhu Xin actually didn't want his name to be on the first place of the rankings, as it might attract unnecessary trouble. Well, let's go with real name then. Zhu Xin looked down, his eyes fixed on the person in second place. Ji Qiang. This name was too familiar to Zhu Xin. During the newbie protection period he was already scheming for everyone. During the Beast Riot he posted strategies in the regional channel that kept the death rate much lower than the world average, saving many lives. Did he really find the golden treasure chest? Does that mean he also knows the secret of this world? Zhu Xin murmured. When the secret was discovered before, the mysterious voice had said, do not share the secret of the world with those who don't know it, but what if it's someone who knows it? If it's someone who knows it, can you exchange some information with them? Is this person like me with special abilities, or did he simply obtain the golden treasure chest through his own efforts? Either way, he is worth befriending as a major figure. Zhu Xin thought quietly. Continuing to look down, Zhu Xin saw Li Wenxi's name at fourth place. Goodness, did this little beauty open a silver treasure chest? Seeing Li Wenxi's name at fourth place, Zhu Xin fell into thought. Until now, he always thought this little beauty was just a cheerful rich kid blessed by luck, but now it seems that's not the case. Solely relying on luck couldn't have ranked fourth among 10,000 people. When he talked to her before, she seemed to downplay the process of obtaining a copper treasure chest in one sentence. Despite being covered with injuries, she didn't show weakness like an injured person, rather she was somewhat enthusiastic. Now she has become the owner of a silver treasure chest. Zhu Xin didn't know how others obtained their silver treasure chests, but judging from the complete rankings, including him and Ji Qiang, only 9 people obtained silver treasure chests, and Li Wenxi ranked fourth among the 9. She definitely isn't as simple as she appears, much like himself, certainly hiding something. Chapter 42, The Top Reward. Zhu Xin looked at the regional channel, which at this moment had completely exploded. Ji Qiang is indeed a true big shot. He actually got a gold treasure chest. I almost died just looking for a bronze chest. Who's Zhu Xin? Who's ranked first? We actually have a hidden big shot in our area. Isn't it just because of good luck? Luck, my ass. The monster guarding the bronze chest nearly killed me. And you tell me getting a gold chest is just luck? Only Zhu Xin and Ji Qiang have found the gold chest. I'm actually ranked in the top 1,000, the big shot is actually me? Somebody save me? Somebody save me? I'm going to die, going to die, going to die. Why? Why didn't anyone tell me acquiring other resources also counts as resources? You selfish pricks, you all deserve to die. Telling you would mean our elimination, huh? Don't blame others if you're not sharp. Ha ha ha, I'm ranked 51st from the bottom, ha 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 ha. I vented my frustration by chopping trees with an axe since I couldn't find a chest, and stumbled upon some green-grade wood, ha ha ha. In the last 10 minutes of my life, I want to say something from my heart. I have a girlfriend named 30, she has jet black hair and bright eyes, she's the only woman in my life. If anyone meets her, please tell her my last words, screw you, I'm done serving. Damn, pulled my back, if the guy above is 50th from the bottom, I'll eat a packet of Oreos live. The regional channel was a mix of joy, sadness, and resentment, especially from those last 50 people, who were crazily venting in the regional channel. However, when the 10 minutes passed, the words of sadness and resentment suddenly came to a halt. Did they all die? They suddenly stopped talking. How did they even die? This is terrifying. Will there be bottom eliminations in the future too? I want to cling to the big shots. Zhu Xin and Ji Qiang, do you need ankle weights? At this moment, a mysterious voice suddenly echoed. Now announcing rewards for the top 100 in the rankings. First place, a purple grade exclusive tool. Second to 10th place, a blue grade exclusive tool. 11th to 100th place, a green grade exclusive tool. Other survivors, keep working hard to break into the top 100. This event has concluded successfully. Survivors will have one day tomorrow to rest, and a new event will commence the day after. Please look forward to it, purple grade exclusive tool. Zuzin's eyes lit up, hearing about the purple grade tool. He even automatically filtered out the good news about resting for a day. Where is it? Zuzin returned to the rankings interface and saw a claim reward button appear next to his ranking. He eagerly reached out and clicked it. A purple light orb appeared before him. He reached out to the purple orb and grasped the item inside. Is this a watch? Zuzin looked at the item in his hand, and it was indeed a silver watch, intricately crafted, resembling a world-class mechanical watch. Mechanical Treehouse watch, purple, possesses all the properties of a mechanical watch, winds up with regular arm movements, and has all the capabilities of a treehouse screen, usable within the treehouse's protected range. The dial is very sturdy, and it can even be used to block a knife in critical moments. Reading the description, Zuzin was stunned. All the capabilities of a treehouse screen. The current screen temporarily has 4 capabilities: to communicate with other survivors via the regional or private chat channels, trade with other survivors on the trading platform, craft some materials without a synthesis or weapon crafting bench, and to view event rankings and claim rewards. With this, even if Zuzin wasn't in the treehouse, he could still accomplish tasks only possible within a treehouse, essentially carrying a portable mini treehouse. With this, he could even set up a small base elsewhere using the treehouse's capabilities. This watch is too powerful. Zuzin immediately put the watch on his wrist. How do I use it? Zuzin looked at the mechanical watch on his left wrist, and as he thought about it, suddenly a small, virtual screen was projected above the watch. Other than being smaller, the projected screen was identical to the larger display right in front of him. Perfect, very strong. It doesn't even require batteries or charging, just regular movement charges it, truly convenient. Zuzin couldn't get enough of touching the watch. Ah, right. Zuzin suddenly remembered he still had a gold treasure chest. He took out the gold treasure chest from his backpack and placed it to the right of the silver chest. The 3 chests arranged from left to right in the order of bronze, silver, gold, and the patterns on the chests indeed formed a beast-like design. The design wasn't the mythical beast Kylan that Zuzin had imagined before. When truly assembled, it became apparent that this creature resembled somewhat a cross between a Kylan and the Mount of Huaxia's ancient mythological primordial venerable, who had a unique beast, looking somewhat like them all. Not quite a dragon, not quite a tiger, not quite a dog, not quite a deer, yet strikingly handsome and valiant. As Zuzin was closely examining it, the beast image assembled by the patterns suddenly lit up, emitting a shimmering white light. What's going on? Zuzin jumped back in shock. The 3 chests suddenly vanished after a distortion, turning into a shimmering white light orb. This light orb was all too familiar to Zuzin. He hadn't even realized what was happening and instinctively reached out to it. A card appeared in Zuzin's hand. Beginner Mount Contract, Green Quality. The contract card obtainable by collecting gold, silver, and bronze chests, allowing for the taming of a mount weighing up to 100 kilograms. Because the owner is the first survivor to gather all 3 chest types, the Beginner Mount Contract, Green Quality, has been upgraded to Intermediate Mount Contract, Blue Quality. Intermediate Mount Contract, Blue Quality, upgraded from Beginner Mount Contract, Green Quality, allows for the taming of a mount weighing up to 300 kilograms. Can heal all injuries the mount received before contracting. It truly was a blessing in disguise, just when you wished for it. On the way back, Zuzin had been pondering how to acquire an obedient mount, and here came the mount contract. Didn't that voice just mention a day of rest tomorrow? Otherwise, maybe he could go to the northwestern hills and bring one back tomorrow? It's just a pity those 3 chests are gone. Zuzin had originally kept them for the metal materials of gold, silver, and bronze, thinking he'd melt them into metal blocks someday. Oh right, he can now make iron armors and iron weapons. Zuzin quickly went to the weapons and armor crafting station and opened the crafting list. The weapons section displayed many new iron weapons. Iron bow, Green Quality. Iron bars embedded in the bow greatly increase range and power, but require high skill and strength, making it extremely difficult to use. Not recommended for beginners. Durability 200, requires 5 units of wood, Green Quality, requires 2 units of iron block, Green Quality, requires 1 unit of beast tendon, Green Quality, crossbow, Green Quality, a bow with arms that separates drawing and loading arrows from firing, reducing difficulty and increasing accuracy and range. However, each shot requires manual loading, resulting in a slow fire rate. Durability 200, requires 5 units of wood, Green Quality, requires 2 units of iron block, Green Quality, requires 1 unit of beast tendon, Green Quality, iron-tipped spear, Green Quality, a powerful iron weapon for beast combat, with a sharp iron tip capable of piercing hides. The longer the better. Durability 200, requires 5 units of wood, green quality, requires 2 units of iron block, green quality. There's also weapons like knives, swords, and daggers. However, Zhu Xin's attention had already been captured by the crossbow. This was surely the best ranged weapon for someone like him who had never used a bow before. Chapter 43 Ji Qiang. Zhu Xin had been wondering whether, even if he managed to make a bow and arrow, with his complete lack of experience, he could actually hit the target. So when he saw the description of this crossbow, Zhu Xin felt this weapon was made for people like him. Although stringing it was indeed a hassle compared to a skilled archer's bow, he wasn't a skilled archer. This crossbow in his hands was bound to be far more powerful than a bow and arrow. Except for this beast tendon. He didn't need an iron spear for now, as his blue-grade stone spear was already sharp enough to pierce a beast's body, and it was more durable. Continuing to browse, he noticed an iron armor set had appeared among the armors. Iron scale armor, green quality, an iron armor capable of withstanding regular beast attacks. It's very heavy when worn, iron greaves, green quality, iron leg armor. Due to its weight, it slightly affects speed, iron helmet, green quality, an iron helmet. Don't tilt your head too much, or you'll risk a sprain. It somewhat impairs vision when worn, iron boots, green quality, iron boots. No beast can withstand a kick, provided you can lift your foot with them on, no wonder it's called heavy armor. Full body defense can withstand general beast attacks, but the downside is also clear, it's too heavy and may not be suitable for an average person. However, Zhu Xin felt that, with his body strengthened several times now, wearing a set of iron armor shouldn't be much of a problem, though it might reduce his backpack's carrying capacity indirectly. Personal safety was still paramount. Zhu Xin sent a message to Li Wenxi wanting to trade for iron ore, but she didn't reply. Perhaps she is still outside and hasn't returned. Otherwise, given her personality, she would have initiated a video call upon seeing he was first. Looking at his private messages, Zhu Xin found they had exploded. Being first on the leaderboard, countless people sent him messages, trying to gain his favor. Some asked what was in his gold treasure chest, others wanted to trade with him, and some even begged him for resources. Zhu Xin ignored them all. However, one private message caught his attention. Ji Qiang. The one who, like him, had found the gold treasure chest. You already know the world's secret, don't you? The message from the other side made his heart skip a beat. Sure enough, his guess was correct. Anyone who found the gold treasure chest would definitely know the world's secret. He hesitated for a moment before sending a message. Yes, near the gold treasure chest. The other side quickly replied, I want to cooperate with you. He said what Zhu Xin wanted to say, so Zhu Xin replied, how do you want to cooperate? First, information exchange. Voice call, okay? The other side seemed quite polite. Zhu Xin immediately initiated a voice call. The other side picked up instantly. Zhu Xin could hear breathing from the other end, but neither of them spoke first. Zhu Xin was still somewhat wary. Although Ji Qiang's words suggested he also knew the world's secret, the world was so mysterious, who could guarantee they knew the same secret? If not the same, exchanging information might violate the rule stated by that mysterious voice, do not share the world's secret with those who don't know it. The other side spoke first, his voice deep and magnetic, like a broadcaster's voice, the underground world. You know what I'm talking about, right? Zhu Xin's lips curled into a slight smile. Hello, Ji Qiang, I've heard so much about you. You led everyone through the first beast riot. Hearing Zhu Xin's response, Ji Qiang's tone relaxed a bit. You're too kind. As long as it doesn't harm my interests, I try to help a bit. We're all compatriots. Your sense of duty is quite high. From that sentence alone, Zhu Xin had roughly assessed Ji Qiang's character. He wasn't the type to ruthlessly step over others' bodies for power, nor was he the kind-hearted saint bound to help others, but someone between the two. A normal person. Of course, it wasn't impossible he was just putting on an act. Haha. Ji Qiang laughed briefly, then his tone in the voice call became more serious. Regarding what I just said about the underground world, do you have anything to say, Zhu Xin? As they shared the same secret, Zhu Xin didn't mind speaking candidly. I indeed saw the underground world near the gold treasure chest. I think for now, only you and I know about this, right? Yes, since I proposed cooperation, I should show some sincerity first. The other side seemed pleased with Zhu Xin's affirmative response and continued, I found a passage to the underground while searching for the gold treasure chest. After going down, I saw many gigantic creatures in the underground world. Like enlarged versions of the monsters guarding the ground treasure chest, Zhu Xin interjected. Exactly. It seems you had a similar experience. Phew. I feel relieved. I was afraid of being punished by the voice for saying it. The other side let out a clear sigh of relief and continued, Zhu Xin, I've analyzed the contents of the bronze chests and consulted several survivors who obtained silver chests. They all gave the same answers. That is, for this event, the resources in the same level chests are the same. To show my sincerity, I can tell you that the resources in my gold chest were special treehouse root potion and metal products auto unlock contract. The sincerity was evident, so Zuzin reciprocated. The former can expand the treehouse protection area, and the latter requires obtaining all the materials to unlock the formula. That's right, you inferred the same as me. It looks like we belong to the same group of people. Inference? Oh right, the other side didn't have his item identification ability and couldn't directly see the real functions of the resources. Luckily, the other side was smart, otherwise, he would have been exposed. Zuzin couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Honestly, I want to form a small organization centered around the two of us. My current idea is that organization members should at least have obtained a silver chest. Ji Qiang laid out his plan to Zuzin. Gather all the current elites together. Members within the organization can more conveniently trade resources, share information, and benefit mutually. Additionally, currently, only the holders of silver chests can equip weapons and defensive facilities on tree houses, and only you and I can craft advanced metal weapons and armor. We can discuss reasonable pricing and sell these advanced weapons and equipment to others without silver chests, allowing ordinary people to profit with us. Meanwhile, we can obtain basic low-level materials through trading without wasting our time chopping or mining. Listening to Ji Qiang's plan, Zuzin gradually felt admiration for the man whom he estimated to be at most 30 years old. While he was still pondering his matters, this man was already considering more long-term and stable issues. I understand, a strategy group, right? Zuzin smiled, pondering a moment before saying, then I have a few questions for you. If your answers satisfy me, I'll join the organization you're talking about. Go ahead. Chapter 44, Collaboration, Speculations about the World. First, there are a total of 9 people, including you and me, who currently possess the silver treasure chest. How do you plan to persuade the other 7 to join this organization? Perhaps Ji Qiang had anticipated that Zuzin would ask this question, and he responded with a relaxed tone. Among the other 9, the ones in the 3rd, 5th, and 7th positions have been in communication with me since the novice protection period. They also obtained the silver treasure chest with my help, so we only need to take care of the remaining 4 people. The key to this matter actually lies with you. Me? Hearing Ji Qiang's words, Zuzin was secretly alarmed. There are only 9 people who have obtained the silver treasure chest, including Ji Qiang himself, and amazingly, 4 of them are related to him. This person is truly a big shot. That's right. If you join our organization, then in District 188, only we will be able to craft metal weapons, armor, and tools. You've seen those things, right? The performance of green-grade items can basically match or even exceed previously crafted blue-grade equipment. Currently, metallic minerals like iron ore are scarce, and there are only 2 of us, so our production capacity is insufficient. So if we declare publicly that the metal tools we produce at this stage are only available for trade within the organization, what do you think they will choose? They, being among the top 10 in the event, definitely want to become stronger. Not to mention, within our organization, we are all powerful individuals, and the exchange of resources and information is bound to be more efficient than exploring on their own. Moreover, our organization doesn't have any mandatory requirements, it's all benefits without any drawbacks, so why not? Goodness, it's a monopoly, isn't it? Smells a bit capitalistic. Zuzin nodded silently. Ji Qiang's words made sense. Even Zuzin himself would unquestionably join such an organization. As mentioned, the only limitation might be the unified pricing of goods. But there are 9 people with silver treasure chests, which is quite a number. Compared to setting their own prices with increasing undercutting, unified pricing has more advantages. What's the second question then? How will organization members communicate with each other? Ji Qiang laughed and said, you've probably interacted with very few people in the past few days, Zuzin. Not that many, indeed. After the novice protection period, the Treehouse opened a feature similar to group chat, and currently, each person can only join one group chat. I was already in the same group chat with those 3 who obtained the silver treasure chest. We can form a new group chat. Ji Qiang explained. Can I ask how you helped them find the silver treasure chest? Zuzin was very curious about this because his process of obtaining the silver treasure chest was quite odd, and he wasn't sure if others had a similar experience. Of course, you obtained your silver treasure chest from the stream, right? Yes. I just told them that my silver treasure chest was in the stream. I advised them to explore along the stream and be cautious of the monsters in the stream. You must have noticed it too, right? The place where the treasure chest is located, the stream's flow slows down a bit, and the sound of the water is slightly different. The stream flow slows down? The water sound? Zuzin frowned, trying to recall. Nope, the stream was still as turbulent, and he hadn't paid much attention to the water sound. Could it be that the terror crocodile he encountered was different from the others? Are all the silver treasure chests in the stream? Zuzin continued to ask. I don't know. There are actually a few others in that group chat, but only those 3 found the treasure chest. What kind of monsters did you encounter in the stream? I ran into a crocodile. Zuzin concealed the fact that the crocodile didn't attack him, probing tentatively. The terror crocodile didn't attack him and even handed him a silver treasure chest, which made Zuzin feel increasingly odd. On my side, there was a massive turtle the size of a round table, lying at the bottom of the stream. When I got close, it suddenly attacked me. Fortunately, I reacted quickly and blocked it, but it still bit my weapon in half. Jiqiang's tone was somewhat pained. That was a blue-grade weapon. Luckily, the turtle was torn to pieces due to the treehouse's protection, or I might have been in trouble too. Indeed, the terror crocodile Zuzin encountered was different. A turtle the size of a dining table is indeed enormous, but it would be nothing more than a morsel for that crocodile. What exactly is that crocodile? It doesn't even show up as a red dot on the map. When he was in the underground world, all those monsters appeared on the map. Could it be that this giant crocodile isn't an underground creature? So, Zuzin, are you interested in starting this organization with me? Jiqiang asked, seeing Zuzin silent for a while. Pleasure to cooperate. Zuzin replied. Haha, pleasure to cooperate. Jiqiang laughed, clapping his hands. Once the time is right, I'll establish a group chat and pull you in. By the way, can we video chat? I don't know what you look like, and some things are better discussed face to face. Of course. Zuzin was also curious about what Jiqiang looked like. The video call connected, and Zuzin finally saw Jiqiang's appearance. He looked like a cultured young man, with clear features and a neat hairstyle, wearing the same newbie set as Zuzin. However, unlike Zuzin, his clothes seemed much cleaner and tidier, likely specially taken care of. You're quite handsome. Jiqiang commented, a bit surprised by Zuzin's appearance, perhaps because it didn't match his mental image of him. Honestly, I initially thought you'd be the brawny type. Zuzin responded with a smile. Haha. From now on, we're partners. Let's talk about things only we two know. Jiqiang's expression turned serious. Zuzin, what do you think about those monsters in the underground world? In the future, we're definitely going to confront them. This might be the very reason we're in this world. Zuzin expressed his view. Even now, if we're outside the protection range of the treehouse, we'll be attacked by these underground creatures. They're everywhere, and relative to beasts, they are our true enemies. I agree with you on that, but Zuzin, have you ever considered that the monsters attacking us on the surface and those from underground might not be the same group of monsters? What do you mean? Zuzin knitted his brows together. You should have noticed that while the monsters attacking us on the surface and those from underground are similar species, there's a huge difference in their sizes. The monsters from the underground world are noticeably larger. Yes, that's indeed the case. To be honest, Zuzin thought the crocodile wasn't small, but considering its unique nature, he nodded in agreement with Jiqiang's observation. Plus, after observing by the cliff for some time, I found that those underground monsters don't seem to have the ability to soar thousands of meters to the surface. Zuzin's brow furrowed even more. You're suggesting that the monsters attacking us aren't those from the underground? Jiqiang pondered for a moment before speaking. The monsters attacking us might also live underground, but not in the underground world we see. Instead, they're in the soil beneath us. We should view these two kinds of monsters separately. Gradually, Zuzin's thoughts became clearer. You're suggesting that there are currently 3 types of monsters: terrestrial beasts, mid-sized monsters in the soil, and large monsters underground? Even though they're referred to as mid-sized monsters, they're still much larger than beasts. That cannibal flower, for instance, is like 10 meters tall. Correct, and in my opinion, the monsters in the soil beneath us seem to be miniature versions of those from the underground world, possibly artificially placed here. Zuzin's eyes narrowed as he contemplated, the purpose being to familiarize us with the underground monsters in advance? Exactly. They looked into each other's eyes, seeing a trace of panic within. They're probably just a bunch of lab rats. Zuzin suddenly thought of the skeleton underground. They're not the first people to came to this world. Before them, others had arrived earlier. Were those people survivors or the ones controlling this world? Chapter 45, No Shortage of Iron or Zuzin was silent for a moment, then spoke. In any case, what we should be considering now is the next beast riot. It's too early to think about these things at present. Yes, actually, what I wanted to say is that if possible, Try to lend others a hand without harming your own interests. Those who survive now might all become a source of strength in the future. Then why didn't you tell those survivors that gathering other materials would also count towards the resource ranking this time? You're talking about this time, anyway. 50 people need to die, why help them? The best outcome is that the 50 dumbest ones die. Zhu Xin somewhat liked Ji Qiang's personality. Although it seemed a bit unfeeling, he always made the choices most beneficial to the collective interest. Perhaps this is what a natural leader is like. After exchanging some information, the two ended the video call. From his conversation, Zhu Xin learned that the survivors ranked 2nd to 10th also received a watch, but theirs were not as functional as Zhu Xin's. They could only communicate, make calls and video calls, and check information, but couldn't craft or even trade resources through the watch. After all, Zhu Xin's watch was of purple level, while theirs were blue. However, even the blue-level watches were quite convenient. Once an organization was established, all members within it could communicate anytime, anywhere. He left the organizational matters to him to handle. Zhu Xin could help by asking Li Wenxi. Checking his private messages, Zhu Xin felt overwhelmed. There were thousands of messages, most of which were useless pleas for help and resources, some even resorting to moral blackmail. Some were even trying to initiate voice or video calls with him. He hurriedly set his watch to only allow voice or video calls from Li Wenxi and Ji Qiang. From the pile of private messages, he found Li Wenxi. She still had not replied to the iron or trade matter Zhu Xin sent her before. He was still curled up on the bed, taking a nap. Zhu Xin leisurely sat by the grill, threw wood into the fireplace, and enjoyed a hearty dinner of bear meat with lotus root. Let's plant those 2 types of trees, Zhu Xin decided to do something after he was full and satisfied. He took fertilizer and 2 bags of seeds and went down from the treehouse to the plot of land he had tilled before. The seeds in the bag were numerous. Zhu Xin wasn't sure exactly how many, just like nobody knows how many seeds are in a bag of sunflower seeds. Anyway, there were enough. Let's first test the effect of the fertilizer. Zhu Xin buried a birch seed in the soil, and a few seconds later, a small sprout slowly emerged from the ground. This was the normal growth speed of the seed, which could become a large tree in 10 days. He looked at the fertilizer in his hand. Natural organic fertilizer, green quality, can transform barren soil, white, into normal soil, green quality, and when sprinkled on normal soil, green quality, it accelerates plant growth. Remaining, 50 portions, this bag of fertilizer only had 50 portions. Zhu Xin carefully sprinkled it over the small seedling. Fertilization successful, birch tree growth time reduced to 10 hours, reduced by so much? Zhu Xin was quite surprised. He thought that cutting the time in half would already be a great gain, but it reduced from 10 days to 10 hours. It was not yet 7 in the evening, which meant he could harvest the new materials by tomorrow morning. This fertilizer is really something good, I wonder if anyone is selling it. Zhu Xin immediately opened his watch and began to search for information on the trade platform. Unfortunately, no one was selling fertilizer at the moment, though a bunch of people were trading green resources for the wolf meat he had put on the shelf earlier. Zhu Xin chose some stone and a few stray green iron ores to complete the transactions. The automatic weapons for the treehouse require staple wood, and the defense facilities require logs, so let's do half and half. Zhu Xin planted 30 birch trees and 30 pine trees on the empty lot and sprinkled fertilizer on them. Including the one before, Zhu Xin sprinkled fertilizer on 10 birch trees and 10 pine trees, using 20 portions. According to poplar trees, each tree should yield 5 staple wood or logs, so with 10 trees each, that's 50 new materials, enough for my needs. Better to use fertilizer sparingly for now. He then made simple wooden fences around the saplings, nodded satisfactorily at his labor results. Suddenly, Zhu Xin's watch vibrated. He looked down, it was a video from Li Wenxi. Wow! Zhu Xin, you really are a big shot. You're actually first in the entire region. First place. Even better than that Ji Qiang. On the small screen projected by the watch, Li Wenxi was dusty and short-haired, with a bit of dust in her hair. She was incredibly excited. As expected, Zhu Xin didn't find it surprising she called immediately after seeing the rankings. Aren't you fourth as well? I didn't expect you to be so strong too. Zhu Xin replied with a smile. Oh, it's just because I got lucky. Li Wenxi touched her head sheepishly, not like you big shots who can even find golden treasure chests. You just got back? Yeah, I got excited after finding a silver treasure box and continued searching for a golden one. I didn't find any until the event ended, just made it back. Li Wenxi's pretty face was filled with excitement. I came back and saw I'm fourth. You're first. That's so strong. Haha, congratulations. By the way, do you still have lots of iron blocks on your side? Of course, I have plenty. I don't have much timber or plants on my side, but there are plenty of minerals. Let me tell you, I found 2 more mines during this event exploration, and there are no beasts in them. The cute girl stood with hands on hips, head held high, with a face expecting praise. Awesome. Awesome. Zuzin was sincerely envious. This cute girl truly had a mine at home, especially now when iron armor and weapon crafting were open, and iron ore was scarce. The mine's strategic value was extremely high. Hee, how much iron ore do you need? I can give you some. Zuzin remembered GKang's organization and told Li Wenxi about the earlier matters. Joining an organization of all big shots? Of course, I'll join if you're in it. Why wouldn't I? Li Wenxi was easily convinced. By the way, you said you and that GKang already can make iron weapons and armor? That's right. How about I provide materials for 2 sets of iron armor, and instead of trading resources, you make a set for me too? Li Wenxi asked tentatively. You? Zuzin sized her up. Are you sure you can move wearing iron armor? Come on, I'm really strong, alright. Li Wenxi made a muscle-showing gesture, and although her muscles weren't visible, her fitness brought a sense of strength and beauty. Plus, my body has been strengthened once by the contract. Alright, but don't blame me if you can't wear it. I won't. If they don't fit, I can sell them to others in the organization you mentioned anyway. I have lots of iron, not short on mines. Wow, Li Wenxi directly solved the troubling iron ore source problem. After hanging up the video call, as soon as Zuzin returned to the treehouse, Li Wenxi initiated a trade with him. To his surprise, he received not iron ores, but already smelted iron blocks, green quality, even generously giving him 8 iron blocks, blue quality. 8 blue resource blocks? That's quite extravagant. No wonder only one person among those who got silver treasure boxes ranked higher than her. She also sent a message, I gave you the iron blocks directly. My room is too small to hold all the iron ores, the furnace hasn't stopped, so lots of iron blocks. 1 set of iron armor is a 4-piece suit. You 4 pieces, I 4 pieces, 8 pieces in total. The 4 blue iron blocks are to repay you for the 2 oranges. You really helped me a lot. Chapter 46, Iron Armor Set, Blue Quality. Do you really have to send a message about it? Are you feeling embarrassed? Zuzin laughed. He then looked down at the 8 iron blocks, blue quality, in his hand. He was almost reluctant to use these advanced iron blocks. He sent a message to Li Wenxi, there's so much of it, I might just end up hoarding all your resources. The reply came quickly, no way, would the top of the leaderboard really need to hoard even this bit of resources? This bit of resources? Alright then. He truly couldn't compare with the rich lady. Zuzin went straight to the weapon and armor crafting table, and using the iron blocks Li Wenxi gave him, he crafted 2 sets of blue-grade iron armor. Scale armor, blue quality, can withstand attacks from large beasts. Made with advanced materials, the thinner iron sheet offers stronger defense. Iron greaves, blue quality, even though they are iron armor, they feel as light as cloth armor. Iron helmet, blue quality, perfect design that doesn't obstruct vision or head movement. Iron boots, blue quality, wearing them almost makes you feel like you can run faster. The descriptions had changed. The biggest flaw of the iron armor, its bulkiness, was gone in the blue grade. At the same time, Zuzin noticed a line of small text in the description of each piece of equipment. Iron armor set, blue quality, 4-piece, enhances strength. The blue grade set actually has a special effect. And it's the strength Zuzin needed the most. Not only did the weight decrease, but it also increased the wearer's strength. Truly worthy of being blue grade iron armor. Zuzin traded 1 set to Li Wenxi and wore the other set himself. There was no sense of heaviness at all. The weight of the iron armor set was much lighter than expected. Once all 4 pieces were on, Zuzin even felt more relaxed and agile than when he wore the beginner's 2-piece set. Is this the effect of a blue-grade set? Zuzin was very satisfied. He felt that now he could confront a single beast head-on and might even be able to take on the monster guarding the treasure chest. However, the iron armor did have one issue. It made a crisp sound of clinking iron when walking, making stealth a bit of a problem. But that wasn't a major issue, as wearing the iron armor was intended for direct combat with beasts. Zuzin recalled the dense cluster of red dots in the northwest. After the treehouse's protective range expanded, that area was now within Zuzin's reach. There's an adjustment period tomorrow. Since I have iron armor now, I'll go check out that area tomorrow. Zuzin planned to visit there the next day, hunt some beasts, and see if he could collect some beast tendons to craft the treehouse's trebuchet and his crossbow. Without a long-range attack method, the next beast hide would be much more challenging. After taking off the iron armor set, Zuzin washed up and lay down on the bed. He hadn't slept for 2 days and 1 night, And although his spirits were held up by the power of the orange, his physical fatigue had reached its peak. He stroked Keek's little head curled up beside him, and Zuzin gradually fell asleep. "I'll give you a bath tomorrow, I'm too tired today," just kinda lays about. Zuzin was awakened by the vibration on his wrist. He sat up, rubbed his eyes, and lifted his wrist, where a virtual screen appeared before him. "It's just past 7. Inviting me to join the Explorers. What's this?" Zuzin almost cancelled it absent-mindedly, then his mind cleared. Is this the organization Ji Qiang mentioned? Indeed, upon closer inspection, the invitation was from Ji Qiang. Zuzin immediately clicked to accept. "Wang Lei, welcome, Zuzin, to our Explorers organization. Zhao Zixuan, welcome, Zuzin. Wen Gaixin, Zuzin, who's stronger, you or Boss Ji?" As soon as Zuzin joined, several messages popped up in the group chat. The group chat now had 7 people, just too short of the 9 mentioned by Ji Qiang. Zuzin looked at the member list. Besides him and Ji Qiang, there was Wen Gaixin, ranked 3rd on the leaderboard, Wang Lei, ranked 5th, Zhao Zixuan, ranked 7th, and 2 with similar names, Qin Yanlong and Qin Yanu, ranked 6th and 9th, who sounded like brothers. Ji Qiang had mentioned that the 3rd, 5th, and 7th were all his acquaintances, the ones who had just spoken when Zuzin joined. "Hello, everyone." Zuzin used voice input. "Ji Qiang, I originally planned to gather everyone and bring you in as the finale, but then Li Wenxi, ranked 4th, said she'd join if you join, and we haven't been able to contact Chigzai, ranked 8th. I know Li Wenxi, I'll bring her in." Saying this, Zuzin invited Li Wenxi. "Ji Qiang, I figured you knew her. When I talked to her, she didn't even wait for me to finish, just hung up saying, 'Let Zuzin invite me.'" Zuzin, "Oh, I had talked to her about this organization before. Li Wenxi has joined the Explorers." Li Wenxi, "Hello, hello everyone." Wen Gaixin, "Finally, a girl. I've had enough of being in a group full of men." Zhao Zixuan, "Hello, girl. By the way, Wen Gaixin, what's wrong with men? Isn't it great being surrounded by handsome guys?" Wen Gaixin, "Handsome guys? You? Maybe only Boss Ji is kind of handsome. Wang Lei, look at my healthy physique, strong wrists, and simple gaze, isn't that handsome enough?" Li Wenxi, "Haha, you guys are so amusing." At this moment, Qin Yanlong, who had been silent, also spoke up. "Zuzin, can you and Ji Qiang really provide us with iron armor and iron weapons?" Zuzin didn't speak, he wasn't sure how Ji Qiang had guaranteed them, but he wasn't about to provide them directly without getting a satisfactory price in return. To avoid any conflict, he waited for Ji Qiang to respond. Luckily, Ji Qiang replied directly, "You can trade with us, or if you have the raw materials, we can help you craft them, but you will need to pay accordingly. We only open trades within the organization, not providing them for free." Zuzin then said, "That's what I mean too." "Understood," Qin Yanlong replied and said nothing more. Ji Qiang, "Alright, there's still one person we haven't heard from. Let's temporarily put aside the matters we discussed earlier. You all can try contacting Chigzai, ranked 8th. If she hasn't joined by tonight, we'll discuss the next steps." "Got it. Got it, boss." "Understood." Zuzin pondered for a moment and then asked in the group chat, "Have any of you collected any beast tendons?" Zhao Zixuan, "Is Zuzin talking about materials for making bows and heavy crossbows? I once found a beast carcass, but didn't get any tendons." Wang Lei, "I haven't even seen a beast carcass, I hid in the treehouse that night." Wen Gaixin, "I killed the wolf, but it didn't drop any beast tendons either." Ji Qiang, "I didn't get any tendons either. Afterward, I asked some people, and none of them managed to carve tendons out of a beast carcass. Perhaps the beasts didn't drop tendons that day because they didn't want us to have long-range weapons this early." Zuzin replied with a thoughtful "Okay, I got it," then closed the screen projected from his watch and sat up in bed. The little panda Keek beside him also got up. Zuzin's plan for the day was to explore that densely packed area of red dots in the northwest. With the iron armor, he could take on some medium to small solitary beasts. He could go there to hunt some lone beasts, perhaps he might get some beast tendons and hides. Chapter 47 Beast Hills, Lone Beast. Zuzin first put Keek into the basin for a good bath. To his surprise, even though Keek hadn't bathed all this time, he wasn't dirty at all, in fact, he was quite clean. The bathwater afterward was even cleaner than the water after Zuzin's bath. "How do you do it, little guy?" Zuzin envied him. If he could stay clean all the time, he wouldn't bother bathing. Keek executed the classic head tilt. After washing up and eating until full, Zuzin didn't leave immediately but went under the treehouse first, chopping down the 20 birches and pine trees that had been grown rapidly. Logs, green quality, wooden raw materials needed for making internal decoration parts and external defense facilities of the treehouse, thin wood, green quality, wooden raw materials needed for making external weapons and some special weapons of the treehouse, since the treehouse modification was done on the treehouse screen and didn't require a crafting table or synth table. Zuzin smoothly made the treehouse wooden armor, green quality, that required 2 logs, green quality. Looking at the item in his hand, about 1 centimeter thick and about a meter high, resembling half of a hollow cylinder split vertically from the middle, Zuzin was puzzled about how to use it. Treehouse wooden armor, green quality, armor mounted on the treehouse trunk can significantly reduce the damage from beast attacks to the treehouse. He inspected it for a while and then understood. 2. Treehouse wooden armors can be assembled into a hollow cylinder, just enough to wrap around the treehouse trunk and protect about a meter of trunk height. The bottom of Zuzin's treehouse was 10 meters from the ground, so if he wanted to protect all of the trunk, he would need 20 treehouse wooden armors, requiring 40 logs. Zuzin chopped down 10 pine trees and now had 50 logs. He pondered a bit and then crafted them all, installing them onto the sturdy trunk of the treehouse. Once installed, the wooden armor seemed to blend in with the treehouse, its outer shape and pattern changing to match the treehouse. After finalizing the shape, it was difficult to notice the armor on the trunk unless closely inspected. Nice. Zuzin nodded in satisfaction. He went up and put down the remaining materials. Zuzin donned the blue-grade iron armor set, instantly feeling power coursing through his body. Taking his blue-grade stone spear in hand, Ankik jumped onto his shoulder at this moment. Are you coming with me too? So Zuzin and Ankik set off towards the northwest. While skirting the lake, Zuzin keenly noticed that the activity range of the piranhas had expanded slightly. I need to come up with a solution quickly. But today's mission was to hunt in the beast-infested hills of the northwest, so Zuzin did not stop, continuing to head northwest. A distance of 3 kilometers wasn't far. Having made the round trip once before, Zuzin reached his destination in half an hour. He arrived at the previous boundary line. The ground still showed the cracks and small holes from the vines emerging 2 days ago. Zuzin cautiously extended a foot beyond. The system gave no alert, no red dots lit up on the map, nor did vines sprout from the ground to attack him, so Zuzin felt relieved stepping past the previous protection line. Looking at the hills less than a kilometer away and the dense red dots on the map, Zuzin gripped his stone spear tightly. Let's try a lone beast first. Zuzin glanced at the map and headed towards the solitary red dot farthest from the beast group. That red dot was on the edge of the hilly area, slightly brighter than the previous wolves, about as bright as the previous black bear. From the brightness, Zuzin could roughly estimate the strength of the beast. He felt that with his current gear, handling a black bear would be more than enough. Black bears were only mid-level in the forest hierarchy, hardly eating any meat throughout the year, primarily surviving on plants. With his top-tier blue-grade equipment, if he couldn't even handle a black bear, encountering truly powerful beasts might be too much to handle. Better to go home early and rest. That red dot was between 2 hills, and soon, Zuzin was close to its location. Keek pointed forward with his little paw, calling out. Even from a distance, Zuzin saw the beast. It was inside a cave. Not a black bear, it's a wild boar? Zuzin squinted his eyes, licking his lips. He seemed to see a huge piece of braised pork in front of him. The wild boar was inside a cave, its black body appearing larger than a typical pig, currently rooting at the white rocks on the ground. Zuzin glanced at the rocks, suddenly widening his eyes. Numerous blocky white protrusions covered the cave floor. Is that a salt mine? Zuzin's eyes almost glowed green. His mouth had been bland these past days, seeing what seemed like a salt mine now had him overwhelmingly excited. Great. Ingredients and seasonings are both ready. Zuzin focused intently on the black-haired wild boar before him. He certainly wouldn't underestimate a wild boar. Its lethality was in no way inferior to a black bear, especially from a distance. The boar's charge was even more lethal than a regular black bear. Be aware that a wild boar can weigh more than a black bear, and those husks are no toy. As the ancients said, 1 pig, 2 bears, 3 tigers, referring not to combat strength, but the danger they pose to humans. Wild boars can go berserk easily and attack on sight, posing greater danger to humans than bears and tigers. After all, bears and tigers can often be deterred with bluffing, but a wild boar going berserk doesn't care about anything. So even wearing iron armor, Zuzin had zero desire for the wild boar to notice him from this distance. Iron armor could fend off wolf claw attacks, but against a direct charge, perhaps the armor could withstand, but his body certainly couldn't. If it charged straight at him, failing to dodge in time might mean getting sent flying. Zuzin tried to stealthily close in without being noticed, moving slowly, But as he walked, he recalled an important detail. That being the flaw of his iron armor. His iron armor emitted metallic clinks even when walking normally. The sound wasn't too loud but enough for the wild boar to detect from a certain distance. Sure enough, before Zuzan could get much closer, the wild boar's attention was drawn by the sound he made, raising its head, the two bulky, curved tusks appearing menacingly in the cave's dimness. Zuzan stopped in place, gripping the stone spear tightly in his hand. This big guy definitely weighs over 200 kilograms. Another heavyweight opponent. Staring at the wild boar watching him, Zuzan's heart raced. Pig bro, don't be rash, just continue rooting at your salt mine. The American Murphy proposed a law: if something can go wrong, it will happen, no matter how small the likelihood. This law fits the current situation perfectly. All of a sudden, the black boar let out a tremendously loud snort, lifting its tusks towards Zuzan's direction, then digging its hind hooves into the ground, lowering its head and charging fiercely at him. Damn! This mad boar. Chapter 48, The pig charges ahead. Even with iron armor, Zuzan didn't dare confront the boar's charge head-on. Fortunately, there were many trees around, and Zuzan quickly hid behind a sturdy poplar tree. The burly, black-haired wild boar brushed past the poplar tree he was hiding behind, its tusks screeching as they left a deep mark on the tree, making Zuzan's eyes widen in shock. This is a bit too strong. He almost forgot that the beasts of this world were much stronger than those from his previous world. The boar rushed past him and steadied itself at a distance, then turned around and charged at Zuzan again without hesitation. This boar is really a lunatic. Zuzan cursed silently. However, the boar was closer to him this time, so its charging speed couldn't be increased, remaining within Zuzan's range of maneuverability. He gripped the stone spear tightly, and just as the boar was about to hit him, he suddenly dodged to the side and thrust the spear. The boar charged past him, the stone spear leaving a deep bloody gash on its body. Even though it's a stone spear, it's a blue-grade weapon, and its sharpness is beyond doubt. The black-haired wild boar let out a wail, but the pain and scent of blood did not deter it. Instead, its eyes turned blood red, and it crazily charged at Zuzan again. Zuzan repeated his previous tactic, hiding behind the tree again, and as the boar brushed past, he stabbed it once more. Due to the boar's high-speed movement, Zuzan didn't manage to stab deeply and just left another bloody gash on the boar. Yaw! Keek suddenly jumped off Zuzan's shoulder, landing squarely on the black-haired boar as it brushed past. Keek! Zuzan's expression changed. He didn't want his precious panda getting hurt. Keek was clutching the boar's head, its sharp claws, which it never revealed in front of Zuzan, dug fiercely into the boar's scalp as it bit onto the boar's ear. The black-haired boar screamed like a slaughtered pig in pain, shaking its head frantically and charging toward a nearby tree. Zuzan, already holding the stone spear, rushed over, exclaiming in surprise, "Keek, get down quickly." Just as the boar was about to crash into the tree, Keek nimbly jumped down and quickly scampered to Zuzan's side. Bang! The black-haired boar slammed hard into the robust poplar tree, causing it to shake violently, scattering leaves, while the boar staggered and swayed, looking a bit dizzy. A good opportunity. Zuzan charged with a stone spear, thrusting it mercilessly into the boar's body. PSSH. The stone spear pierced straight in, the boar let out a bitter scream in pain, struggling and writhing wildly, and Zuzan, caught off guard, was nudged by the boar's tusks, producing a sharp scraping sound on the armor. Zuzan swiftly pulled back the stone spear, pig blood splattering all over his armor. He aimed at the boar's head and thrust with all his strength. The sharp stone spear struck the boar's eye perfectly, penetrating unobstructed directly into the boar's head. The boar's screams abruptly stopped. It stood still for 2 seconds, and then its 200-kilogram body collapsed with a thud, twitching slightly on the ground. Zuzan, still uneasy, thrust a few more spears into its head. Once sure it was truly dead, he sat on the ground with a sigh of relief. He patted Keek's head next to him, smiling, "Little guy, you're quite impressive." "Yaw." Keek humanly raised its little head. Zuzan gave it an orange, which Keek immediately hugged happily and started eating. "If only I had a crossbow or something, I wouldn't need all this trouble." Zuzan glanced at the spot on his armor that was scraped by the boar's tusks, where there was only a faint scratch. The blue-quality armor is really strong. Taking out a boning knife, Zuzan began to carve up the boar carcass on the ground. The boning knife, blue quality, still had that smooth feel when carving up the boar, and soon, the materials from the boar were extracted. Obtained, a complete boar hide, green quality. Obtained, 180 kilograms of boar meat, green quality. Obtained, a boar sinew, green quality. Obtained, 1 kilogram of boar bone, green quality. Boar sinew, green quality, a type of beast sinew, used as a crafting material in specific weapons. Can also be consumed if cooked properly. Seeing the beast's sinew, Zuzin raised an eyebrow. Only one sinew, huh? This beast's sinew will first be used to arm myself. Once I get back, I'll make that crossbow. Thinking about achieving his dream of ranged attacks, Zuzin couldn't help but smile. Should I go back and make one first then come back? This thought was quickly dismissed as soon as it appeared in Zuzin's mind. No, it takes nearly 2 hours for a round trip, it would be too time-consuming. Forget it, the stone spear will do. Zuzin turned to look inside the cave, where there might be the salt mine he longed for. Yaw yaw yaw. Keek suddenly let out urgent cries. What's wrong? Zuzin turned around and was immediately stunned. In the visible distance of the hills, he saw a herd of black-haired boars charging towards this side. Without a second thought, he put the spear into his backpack, chose the tallest, sturdiest poplar tree, and started climbing, saying to Keek, "Come on, Keek, climb the tree." Yaw. Climbing a tree was no trouble for Keek. Zuzin had only climbed halfway when Keek was already perched on a branch, tilting its head at him, as if saying, "Why are you so slow?" Although Zuzin grew up in the city, like most boys, he was mischievous as a child, climbing trees and scaling walls. Though he was a bit rusty from not doing it for years, he still managed to climb up. The group of pigs soon reached the land under the tree, likely attracted by the screams of the previous boar. From the herd of black-haired boars, humming sounds occasionally emanated, more wild and penetrating than domesticated pigs. Sitting in the dense canopy, Zuzin dared not move, for even the slightest movement would cause his iron armor to emit a crisp sound. Hope they don't discover the boar herd. However, things didn't go as wished. The air still carried a trace of the smell of blood, and Zuzin was splattered with pig blood. Even he could smell the scent of blood on him, let alone the boar's, whose sense of smell is more sensitive than a dog's. A group of pigs had already surrounded the sturdy poplar tree, and after a few pig squeals, several boars charged at the poplar tree where Zuzin stood. Bang! Several strong black-haired boars began ramming into the tree. Sitting in the tree, Zuzin felt the branches shaking, and he hurriedly embraced the trunk, causing his armor to emit crisp metallic sounds. This made the boars below even more frantic, each crashing into the tree in turn, others rooting around the tree's base, seemingly gnawing at the roots as if trying to topple the tree. Damn it, are they really going to bring this tree down? Luckily, I specifically chose the sturdiest and tallest one. Zuzin looked around. In this hilly area, the trees weren't as dense as they were in the jungles he was previously in, so the gaps between them were significant. Jumping from one tree to another was nearly impossible. There's no choice but to hope the pigs below wouldn't really knock the tree down. Lying on a branch, Keek seemed completely unaware of the danger, looking curiously down below, occasionally yawning towards the ground. It could easily hop from branch to another tree to escape, so, to it, the boars below seemed to be performing. Chapter 49 Convenient Features of the Treehouse Table. Zuzin sat in the tree, anxiously watching the herd of wild boars below. He had no means of long-range attack, unable to harm the pigs below, unless he jumped down to fight them head-on. But fighting against a group of pigs averaging 200 kilograms each would be sheer madness. Clinging to the tree trunk, Zuzin could clearly hear the sounds of impact and the rooting and gnawing at the tree roots. It shouldn't be, right? This trunk is almost half a meter thick. It shouldn't get uprooted, right? Fortunately, wild boars don't have that much patience. The herd persisted for only about half an hour before some pigs began to leave. Soon, more and more black-haired wild boars joined the exodus, and only one boar remained under Zuzin's tree, persistently rooting away. Glancing at the tree roots, oh boy, the earth had been uprooted, and the roots were exposed. If the herd kept at it, there really was a chance they'd topple the tree. Zuzin eyed the black boar beneath him, pulled a stone spear from his backpack. "Brother boar, since you won't leave, stay and keep me company." He checked his surroundings, and the other wild boars were out of sight. Just like the first time hunting the black bear, Zuzin gripped the stone spear, aimed for the back of the boar's head as it rooted the tree, took a deep breath, and leaped down from the tree. Swoosh! Without any suspense, the sharp stone spear pierced straight through the back of the black-haired wild boar's head. The boar didn't even have time to let out a wail before collapsing to the ground, its body trembling. Keek jumped onto the black boar and gave it a few swipes with its little paws. Pulling out the stone spear, Zuzin cautiously stabbed the boar's head a few more times until it stopped moving completely, then pulled out his boning knife. Obtained, a complete wild boar hide, green quality. Obtained, 160 kilograms of wild boar meat, green quality. Obtained, a wild boar tendon, green quality. Obtained, 1 kilogram of wild boar bone, green quality, another animal tendon. The crossbow requires 1 animal tendon, and the treehouse heavy crossbow requires 2. If Zuzin hunts one more, he can make both the crossbow and the automatic heavy crossbow. But this boar meat. It's quite a lot. Adding up both boars, it totals 340 kilograms, with nearly 70 kilograms in the backpack. Even though his body has been enhanced several times, this weight would still hinder his mobility. Although the boar meat is not a critical resource, letting it go is not an option for Zhu Xin. Zhu Xin suddenly remembered the trade function on his watch and attempted to list the boar meat on the trade platform, specifying that he only wanted to trade for basic resources of green grade or higher. However, the trade platform doesn't store items until the trade is confirmed, so the boar meat remained on the ground. Zhu Xin wrote in the Explorer group, "Hey, anyone want some wild boar meat?" The group quickly responded, as everyone had watches and could communicate at any time. Zhao Zixuan, wild boar meat? Did you go hunting, boss? Zhu Xin, yes, just killed one. Anyone interested? Wang Lei, do you have boar meat, boss? I want it. What's on the marketplace are just beast-chewed carcasses. Just can't stomach those.